Yo, what up? It's your boy Devon Sense Boxing back in the building. Shout out to Mangus Allen, the first one in the building. We got our man Arturo in here as well, which is great. I'm glad you made it, Arturo. We got Sheena. We got the number one grinder, Real Talk, also in the building. Cano Loco Sports. ¿Qué pasó? Hola a todos. Hope you guys had a good Cinco de Mayo, all that good stuff. And it is time to cook. You guys know what time it is, man. It is Speak on It, volume number 2, open panel where we discussed, some interesting and sometimes controversial topics. And we got another one today, of course. You guys see the title of the live stream, man. Has Canelo Alvarez been exposed? Now, there's a lot of different ways I can frame that question. You can say, are we being too harsh on Canelo? Are we holding him up to a higher standard? Should we give him the benefit of the doubt or whatever the case may be, right? But that's the question at hand. And, I've been kind of browsing around YouTube the past 24 hours, post-fight, listening to people's thoughts. Quite honestly, I'm actually a bit surprised. There's a few channels out here that I thought would come out and make excuses for Canelo, but they actually haven't. For the most part, they've came out and said, yeah, like Canelo lost. You know what I mean? But of course, there will always be those certain channels that, no matter what Canelo does, win, lose, or draw, they're going to have their excuses. So the train keeps chugging. The train keeps moving along. And so, of course, I wanted to leave my thoughts kind of like a post-fight thought / let's get to the bottom of it, get to the nitty-gritty. The Juan Menzies wants to kick off the super chats tonight, man. I appreciate you, bro. Always good to have you in the chat. All right, so Arturo, like I said, man, it's a pleasure to have you in here. Obviously, we don't want an echo chamber in here. I know even as a Canelo fan that majority of the people are basically saying that, Canelo lost fair and square. There's no excuses. There shouldn't be any excuses. And you being a Canelo fan, being on the panel several times, giving your thoughts, you're the perfect candidate to have come on here and tell us what you think. And I have a few key points that I want to hit tonight in regards to just Canelo Alvarez as a whole, not just so much the fight, but as a whole, because a lot of things, to me, in my opinion, were put out to the forefront, right? After this fight has been completed, and a lot of different conversations have started to swirl. Raw Dot, a Prophet, DP Rocker in the building, man. Thanks for joining, guys. Also, make sure you guys hit the like button as soon as you guys come in. You know the drill, right? Even if you're busy, busy's not an excuse, all right? Slip the busyness and hit that jab that like button, and let's get the party started. All right. So, Arturo, first, let me ask you, what are your overall thoughts? Let's get this out of the way. Overall thoughts about the fight against Bivol, how you scored it, how you saw it. I know you probably were with your family, enjoying Cinco de Mayo and having all that good vibes and good energy and all that good stuff. So, tell the people what you thought about the fight.
Hey, Divine, thanks for having me on. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, brother.
All right, fantastic. Uh, Canelo at best won 2 to 3 rounds. Scorecards were terrible. Um, he did come with a similar tactic that he tried to use versus other fighters. At least like the last 3 fights, and it just didn't. It didn't work out for him. He gassed out. He looked tired. He tried to punish him, but he couldn't. And Bivol did exactly what he needed to do. Stick and move. You saw it there where, he tried to get Bivol to bang, and he was hoping he would try to catch him and clip him, but it just didn't work out. Bivol was too smart. His amateur background really showed that he was just poised and he knew what he wanted to do. He stuck to the game plan. He mixed it up, and he won the fight. You got to take your hats off to him. I never said that Bivol was a chump. I never thought he was a cherry pick. I keep hearing cherry pick, and that dude was never ever a cherry pick. You can see all my comments all over YouTube. Never ever thought that guy was a cherry pick, and he won. He was a better man that night. So you got to take your hats off to him.
Yeah, and as always, I appreciate your honesty and being straightforward and calling it how it is. I think it would be very difficult to argue and say that the fight was anything more than a domination, pretty much. You know what I mean? Like, if you guys were here during the fight and listening to my live commentary, I scored the fight 9-3. And I thought that was very generous of myself. And for those of you who are curious on what are the other rounds that I gave Canelo, I actually gave Canelo the first and second. Some of you guys might be shaking your head because I know a lot of people said there ain't no way he won the first 4 or 5 rounds. But the first couple of rounds, I actually circled the second round because I thought it was a swing round. But Canelo came out hot though. He came out extremely hot, and I gave him the benefit of the doubt because he came out. I didn't agree with it. I thought it was a very poor decision on Canelo's part, but I gave him the first round because I thought he was throwing power shots. He was more aggressive, and I gave him the nod on that first round. Second round, I gave it to him, but it's a swing round, and then I gave him the ninth, which I think most people gave him the ninth because I think Bivol took that round off. But that's it. Like I can't cut it any other way. 115, 113 by the judges is a travesty, an absolute travesty. Now we can paint that any way we want, right? We can say, "Oh, it's boxing. It happens." Or you can say, seems to happen quite often in Canelo fights." Right? Everybody has their opinions. But I will say this. Erislani Lora, right? Canelo. Controversial fight for some people, for a lot of people, actually. Obviously, we have the Triple G fights, especially the first fight. We have the Floyd Mayweather fight where one judge scored it a draw, which it clearly wasn't a draw. And then once again, we have this fight, right? So you have 4, maybe 5 fights where people scratch their head at the score. Oh, Caleb Plant. When the scorecards came out after the stoppage, one judge only gave Caleb Plant 1 round. 1 round. Right? And when I came out here and started talking about those scorecards after the Caleb Plant fight, people were like, "Oh, come on, Devon, it don't matter. You got knocked out." That's not the point. That is not the point. If Caleb Plant somehow survived that fight and Caleb Plant goes to his corner waiting for the announcement of the scorecards, he's probably thinking in his head, well, I at least won 5 or 6 rounds. And the scorecards come out and he only won 2 rounds. You know what I mean? So that's the type of situation that I see going on. And before I moved on to the next topic, did you want to say anything about the scorecards and the history of the scorecards in regards to Canelo Arturo, or you want to leave it?
No, I could say it was a terrible scorecard as far as the history and stuff like that. I knew that was going to be a topic of discussion when they all three said 115, 113. I thought it was a terrible card. I don't know how they got that. Uh, that you could be a novice and not even get that score. So it was pretty bad. So that part's upsetting. I don't blame Canelo for that. I don't know what's going on within the background. I can't say that Canelo himself is the one causing those. So I don't think it belongs just solely on his shoulders, like to get the Canelo hate or whatever reason. I would blame the organization before I blame the boxer.
That's fine. That's fair. I think again, we have to be aware of it, right? Hyper aware that this is the thing that it seems to be a trend if when it comes to scorecards, and it kind of puts fighters in a tough position when they go up against Canelo, right? Where it's almost like I have to put on a performance like what Bivol did or what Mayweather did, or I got to knock him out. Like if you perform like Austin Trout or Erislandy Lora, that's not enough. Like you're probably not going to get the nod. Like that's if you're a fighter, that's what's in the back of your head, right? And I agree, Arturo. It's not necessarily Canelo's fault. I doubt Canelo's going to the judges personally and be like, "Hey guys, here's 500,000. Give me a couple rounds." Like I don't I don't think that's happening. But it's the powers that be, and that's exactly what's happening. Nitty G in the building was good, man. Blue Huntus in the building. Andrew Charles in the building. Christian NWO. Hey, yo, Christian, this is a topic that you should come in here, man. Don't leave Arturo by himself, bro. I know you like Canelo, man. Don't hide it. You're a Canelo fan. There's the link. Click the link. Come in here. G5 Gabe, what's good, bro?
Divine, what's going on, my brother? What's good with you? Arturo, what's good, bro?
How we doing, Gabe? Good to see you.
Hey,
Yeah,
man.
just trying to get this work in, man. What were your scorecards in the fight? Just real quick, G5.
Man, I had it. I kind of had me like two cards going. One of them was A4. You know, you know, in favor of Bivol. I just didn't really see too many adjustments from Canelo. You know, I seen how the breakdown they had it gave Canelo the first 4 rounds, and I'm just like, when I seen that off the rip, I didn't even have to go no further down the judge's scorecard. The first 4 rounds was already tabbed for Canelo. Then the next for the Bivol, and I was just like, they still tried to screw it on the scorecards, but it's not maybe not solely on Canelo, but I'm pretty sure if we're aware of it, he's aware of it too. So that means that you going along with the get along. Like, hey, if it ain't affecting me, then shit, by all means, shit, keep on kicking it. So he knows he has that in his back pocket. That's why he's pissed off, because the judge didn't rule in his favor this time. That's why it's like he felt like he won and all this and all that, because he used to getting a nod every time. You know what I'm saying? Being his opposition, you gotta really love the sport, or you just gotta really want to payday. You know what I'm saying? Because you going in knowing that possibly, you can be fucked. They're not just gonna give you the nod. Come on, Mayweather got one of them called the draw on his card. That alone, from that point on, it's been that way. And I agree with you, Arturo. You can't say it's solely on him, but I'm pretty sure we talk about it enough in the media. He knows about it. You know what I'm saying? He knows that he has a hall pass when it comes to the referees and the judging. So um, he seems to be okay with it. So, you know what I'm saying? Who wouldn't, be okay with it if the judge is going to, give you a nod regardless? So I mean, I had Bivol winning clearly though, man. I mean, from Bell 1, you know what I'm saying? Bivol was just locked in. I mean, it wasn't nothing too flashy. You know, it was just fundamentals and a basic 1-2, and he kept it consistent and stayed poised all night. So, I mean, that's a credit to his preparation.
Yeah, and I didn't and Arturo, I got your message, bro. Yeah, man, it's all good, but I don't know how long I'll be on here, so let's see. But yeah, once you dip out, then man, we got you. Um, I didn't leave an official prediction to the fight itself. Unfortunately, I didn't have any time to drop a vid, but I did do my homework on Bivol, before the fight. And when I went live for the fight itself, I said that I think this is going to go 12. I just didn't see a knockout on this fight. Bivol's not a big puncher. Okay. Canelo, I don't think he's going to have a big enough punch to be able to stop Bivol. And we saw that in the fight, right? His punches weren't as extravagant as they are at 160 or 168. And I thought it would go 12, but I did think that Canelo would get the nod just based off the fact that if Canelo wins just 6 rounds, he's going to win. If he wins 5 rounds, he can still win. And that's why I had to go in 12. So, and the fact that it came out 115, 113 just kind of proves my point. It's just that Bivol put too many rounds in the bank to where the judges were strapped, right? Like strapped down, as in they had no choice but to give it to Bivol. I mean, guys, one more round to Canelo, it would have been a draw. That's the crazy shit. It would have been a draw, and then we would be up here talking about they would force the rematch and this, that, and the third. But because it's officially a 115, 113, officially it looks close on paper. So now they're going to continue to try and push the rematch, right? And Canelo in the post-fight interviews, in the post-fight press conference was saying, yeah, I'll do a rematch, which I'm totally against for a lot of different reasons. But if you're a Canelo fan, if you consider yourself a true Canelo fan, I would be worried about, quite frankly, any fight at 175 at this point. If you rematch Bivol, Bivol's more confident now. Bivol started picking up steam in round 10, 11, 12. And he started to lay leather on Canelo, right? So he's going to be more confident. He knows that he can take Canelo's punch. And quite frankly, like Beer Bev and Joe Smith and all these other guys, man, we saw that Canelo was struggling with the size, right? With the weight disparity. It doesn't matter that he weighed in at whatever weight. He's naturally a smaller man. But look, I want to get into the tough topics. We can talk about the fight all night long. It is what it is. Canelo lost convincingly. All right. Even a man like Arturo, who's in here, who is a Canelo fan, has admitted that. So we're all on the same page. So let's get to the tough topics at hand. A simple question straight down the line. And because Arturo has to go soon, I'll ask him first, and then we'll swing it back to G5. Anybody else that wants to jump in to leave their thoughts, feel free to click the link. Was this fight a cherry pick gone wrong? Arturo.
Well, like I already said it, I have no doubt that this is not a cherry pick. I don't know how you could get cherry pick from this fight. It's not a cherry pick. Just knowing his amateur pedigree, let alone anything else. I mean, that's what some of the Canelo haters were talking about with Plant and some of the other fighters. Like, oh, they have a deep amateur background, even though they haven't fought, the most elite fighters and such and such. I do not think this was it. I knew it was going to be tough in the beginning. I just don't think that people really looked at Bivol. I think really no one was really looking at the 175 weight. As soon as Ward was gone, I really think that weight class just kind of disappeared a little bit. Archer Beterbiev, kind of just because of his power, got a little bit of recognition, but I don't think the casual, especially casual fans, were really looking at the light heavyweight division that closely, in my opinion. So I do not believe it was a cherry pick. I just think that he thought he could take him, and if he could, maybe in one sense, maybe thought, okay, his power, I'll figure it out with Bivol to see how I do, and then maybe go that way. But obviously, boxing wise, I do believe he's the best he's a top fighter at 175 if he could handle the power of better BF. I think Bivol's the best 175 in my opinion.
Well, let me ask you this before I swing it to G5, and we got Destiny Black also in the building. So when you say no, it's not a cherry pick, right? The first thing that comes into mind is this. Then you would have to argue that the Bivol fight is a more intriguing fight on all levels, right? Money, status, legacy, all the different levels, right? Then let's say the names in 168 that he hasn't fought yet. Benavidez, Charlo, all these guys, right?
Right. So
Because he could have
then I'll
fought them. He could have.
Oh, he could have. So then we'll have to define what do you consider cherry picking. Is it what you or like the other fans want to see, or is it a cherry pick in the sense that he thought he was just going to win and it was going to be an easy fight? So I think that's the first thing you have to establish. How do you define cherry picking in order to do that? For example, if Caleb Plant would have went up to fight Bivol, would you have called that a cherry pick for Plant or for Benavidez or for Billy Joe Saunders for that matter? If they would have went up and fought Bivol, would that have been a cherry pick? And if not,
well, that's an extreme hypothetical though, because none of those guys have ever talked about going up and collecting belts at higher weight classes. They've been concerned about 168. Canelo's been talking about going all the way up and fighting Usyk at a catch weight of 200 pounds.
Well, he said, why not? His answer, his responses, if you look at him again, depends on what lens you put on. If you look at it with, I believe, in my opinion, Canelo hate, then yeah, you think like he's being serious. He's just saying, why not? Like, why not? Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. That's just belief in himself. I don't think he really means like I'm gonna really jump up there and jump into a heavyweight and really fight someone. He's just like, why not? Why not keep testing myself until I meet my limits? Why set limits on myself? Like, I really do not believe that he feels that he can go up. Yeah, I know he spars with them, but I don't think he has a real feeling that he could really take Usyk. Even though Usyk isn't a big fighter, but Usyk would smoke his boots. There's no way. You saw it obviously within this fight. He just doesn't have the motor to be able to carry that weight at his height and everything else. He just doesn't have the motor to be able to do that. So again, defining cherry pick is it's to me what makes a difference. You're like, they never said that, but that's not what we're talking about here. When you say cherry pick, or when the most people hear cherry pick, they think he took an easy fight. He took an easy way out. But if you take any of the other fighters that you want or anyone else wants Canelo to fight and put them up Bivol, do you call that a cherry pick? If you don't, then it's not necessarily a cherry pick. He fought maybe someone you didn't want to, but again, that's my humble opinion. And there's no disrespect to anyone. I don't mean to say it in any different way.
Well,
don't believe.
I want you to. Yeah. I want you to leave your opinion, bro.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys think on the panel or in the chat, but I personally feel that Canelo thought he was going to win this fight. I think Canelo really thought that he was about to go up to 175 and collect another belt. And I feel like he thought it was less risk than it would be going up against, well, I would say less risk as far as maybe the risk and reward scenario. You fight a guy like Benavidez, maybe people will criticize him because Benavidez isn't established yet, but Bivol isn't really, though. He ain't really that established either. If you want to be honest, he got a belt. So who makes more money? You know what I mean? Like Benavidez or Bivol?
Well,
Andre or Bivol? But let me finish my point. Is I truly feel, based off of how Canelo entered the fight, round 1 to 4, the way that he fought Bivol in those early rounds proves to me that he was overconfident and he really thought he's about to go in there and collect another belt. And by round 6, he figured out, oh shit, because he changed his whole strategy. He started to gas out a little bit and started having issues as far, like you said, engine and stamina. So that's fine. If you want to say it depends on how you want to define cherry picking. That's fine.
Well, no.
So if we're going to define it as taking it as an easier fight and an easier opportunity to claim more fame, then yes, it's a cherry pick, because I think he thought that Bivol was going to be an easy fight for him and he's going to collect another belt.
But you said established. None of those fighters are more established than Bivol, in my opinion. Any of those fight, like what you said, David Benavidez, He didn't even have a belt. Like, established how? Like, what do you consider established? Again, do we talk amateur? Or are we just talking just pro? You know, he beat Joe Smith, who's again fighting for another title again. So like when you say established, I'm not quite sure I agree. Again, that's just like again my standpoint. But when you say established, he's like, look, I'm gonna move up to 175. That could be my 5th weight class I could get a title at. He has a belt, and it gives me an opportunity to be able to do that. All the other guys, even if I beat them, they don't even have a title. And established wise, they don't. None of them are more established.
I'm
Andre
not
isn't
saying
more
that. I'm not
established.
saying that Benavidez is more established, but what I am trying to point out is Canelo has been the one saying, the infamous words, "You want payday, you want payday," right? It's about money. It's about making the right fight for the right amount of money, and he's been able to have that power and have that choice on who he fights and doesn't fight, right? I think we all can agree on that.
But he'll
But
make that money.
again,
He'll make. Oh, sorry.
but I'm saying, like, okay, if he like Arturo, like, let's be real. Which fight would sell more, Benavidez or Bivol? Like on a pay-per-view standpoint, arena standpoint, across the board, which one would be more attractive? Because as I pointed out in my live stream, Benavidez got the whole state of Arizona. I'll tell you that. I'm from Arizona, so I know this for a fact. So he's got the Mexican American fans. You got Canelo, obviously him being Mexican, but he's been fighting in America, so he's got that crowd as well. Like, that fight is a no-brainer, can sell. Charlo can sell. Andre, because they have beef before, can sell. All these fights will outsell, outmaneuver, and outshine Bivol. Right? For sure. Because, like I said, Canelo is the one who's been talking about it's got to be money. It's got to be this. It's got to be that. He's making all the moves. So that's why people are saying, yo, like, you're cherry picking these fights to, I mean, you're fighting for legacy. Okay, cool. Did you fight the hardest fighter in 175 on a boxing standpoint? I can agree with that. I think Bivol is an extremely good boxer, very good amateur pedigree. I think that he could match up with anybody at 175. Is he the most dangerous, though? No, he's not. He's dangerous in regards to going 12 rounds and outboxing you. But is he the most dangerous puncher, like a Better Beef, or even a Joe Smith in my opinion? No, he's not. Right? You take the risk of fighting two big, strong punchers at 175 who can literally knock you out. Right? So even then, you're going up to 175. Are you fighting the most dangerous opposition? And my opinion is no. But before you have your rebuttal, man, I know G5 is probably sitting there chopping at the bits. G5, you got anything to put in real quick before we swing it around? And we got Destiny Black also. Maybe she might got something to say.
Yeah, man. I mean, he fought Kovalev at 175. So he already came up and got it. So to establish and act like you were coming back to 75 to get the belt for the first time is absurd. You already got the belt and you dropped it once you got Kovalev. I heard narratives talking about he said he was too small. Well, you didn't feel like you was too small against Kovalev. He may be older, but you still came up. You know what I'm saying? So then you came back down. Now you went back up to fight Bivol. If you talking about for legacy, fighting Charlo and Andre or Benavidez would do better for your legacy right now. Bivol just entered his 20 fight. Benavidez is what, 25 fights in, and he's what, 23. So it looked like Canelo, from whether it looks like, is he's going after people who is not as experienced for his rounds and who haven't been under the big stage. That's what it looks like, outside looking in, like you going after people who may who be belt holders, but at the same time, they don't have a whole lot of championship experience. So your experience plays a big part when you come into a big mega fight or a fight under for belts or under big lights. Everybody can't perform under big lights. And I think he underestimated Bivol's mental fortitude more than his skill. You know what I'm saying? Because Canelo, he used to being under big lights. That's another day in the park for him. But I think he was banking on Bivol with his amount of fights and his lack of experience to make him fold. And Bivol didn't do that. And he got surprised. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like if he really wanted to cement his legacy, go ahead and knock off Charlo, Benavidez, or Andre, since you feel you can, your fans feel you can, go and do that. That'll cement your legacy because there is a track record with these guys already from different divisions. You into Bivol's division. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I got on that. So, I mean, I feel like he should just really fought, Charlo or Andre, one of them cats. You know what I'm saying? That would do better for your legacy more than a Bivol at this point.
Right. And so I want everyone to know Arturo didn't drop out because he didn't want to be in this debate. He said he's got to do some coaching or something like that for his kids, but he'll be back if we're still on later. But I just want to say this real quick, and I'll swing it over to Destiny. For me, it's hard for me to wrap my head around the idea, but like I said, it solidifies my opinion that Canelo thought this was going to be an easy fight. And that's why I call it a cherry pick. Because when he fought Caleb Plant, he didn't do shit for 4 or 5 rounds. He was very cautious. He was careful. He didn't overexert himself. He saved his energy. And he did the exact opposite against Bivol, a bigger, arguably stronger man. He went out the gate acting like this dude ain't shit. I'm going to knock him out quick. And he got humbled. So that proves that he thought that Bivol was going to be an easy fight. And that, to me, is a cherry pick. That within itself is a cherry pick. You don't even got to talk about the money. You don't got to talk about the belts. You don't got to talk about legacy. Just the fight itself. He thought, oh, this is a W for me. This is a W. And it is an opportunity for me to conquer another weight class, and it shouldn't be that difficult. Let me go up here and conquer this, and let all the other dudes start chasing me and crying to fight me. And I love that status. I love for them to cry to fight me. I think he loves that shit. And that's why, y'all ready for this? That's why, even right now, he's saying that he won the fight. The dude actually thinks he won the fight. That's how far his head is up his ass. He out here talking about, oh, yeah, I thought I put enough right. You didn't do shit, get your ass beat. But that just proves on how confident that he was going into the fight. He thought it was going to be easy. That is a cherry pick. Period. Destiny, what you got?
Oh, I cannot agree more with you. Hey guys, by the way, yeah, that was G5. You hit it right on the head when you said about went up there and fought Kovalev. So this is not his first time fighting at 175. Not his first time. Was not his first rodeo. And like you said, Divinus, that's why he didn't want to fight Arthur Beterbiev, because he knew that knockout was gonna come. And he had to step up in competition, y'all. Y'all missing the reason why he had to step up in competition, because nobody was going to pay for that damn fight against him and Hakuna Matata. Nobody wanted to see him. Nobody asked for no Hakuna. Nobody even knew what that dude was. Who is Hakuna Matata? He picked like any African off of any street. Talking about this is who next fight was going to be. And nobody wanted to pay for that fight. No network was going to pay for that fight. Who's going to pay for that fight? And who's going to watch it? You see, this Bivol fight, that crowd was pretty much empty. Like, it wasn't even like, he didn't have like, it wasn't sold out. It wasn't a sold out crowd. So yeah. Yeah, Canelo, you know what's so funny, Divine? I think you was on the show, and me and T was the only one telling everybody Bivol was going to beat Canelo ass. I mean, everybody was saying, no, Canelo was going to win. Canelo was going to win. Me and T always told everybody Canelo was not going to beat that boy ass. Mm-hmm. Shout out to Eastern Europeans. Because, the European assassin got assassinated by a European. I'm so glad Cinnamon fucking lost so they can stop this bullshit that he's pound for pound king. Yeah, he pound for pound king of cherry picks, pound for pound king of ducking. Yeah, that's who the fuck he's a pound for pound king of. Little buddy earlier was talking about he don't see it as a cherry pick. Yeah, it was definitely a cherry pick. It was definitely a cherry pick. Because like you said, he had, for a legacy fight, he definitely should have went after Andre or goddamn Charlo or Benavidez. That was definitely a cherry pick. And I don't know why he thought he was going to be able to beat Bivol. That's a big-ass boy. That's a big-ass white boy. No offense to Vince. That's why I don't know what the fuck he was thinking. Yeah, he picked the right cherry this time, and that cherry got popped, didn't it?
And it's not no 38-year-old Kovalev who's damaged goods, who's been in wars.
Right.
You know what I mean? This is a dude like young, fresh, got the experience, and as far as an amateur is concerned, and he didn't care about the big lights. He said, "I'm gonna go to Vegas in your backyard. I don't care about none of this shit. 95% Canelo fans in this bitch, booing me, hooting and hollering. I don't give a shit about none of that. I got a game plan, and you can tell Bivol had a game plan, and he stuck to it. Even when Canelo was on the ropes trying to lure him in, he said, nope, I know what you're trying to do, trying to bait me. I know you got these little sneaky uppercuts and shit. Nah, I'm in control. You do what I tell you to do. You're going to do what I want you to do." And that's what happened. And Canelo froze. He froze for most of the fight. From round 5 on, he pretty much froze and was trying to land something big. And that's just how I see it. Jimmy, I'm not quite sure who you are, bro. If you can turn on your cam real quick on the backstage so I know you ain't a troll, because these motherfuckers out here trying to troll constantly.
Boy.
Some weirdos in this world. I don't understand that trolling.
Yeah. So, for me, I don't use the term cherry picking all that too often. I don't have a problem necessarily moving up weight classes, trying to be pound for pound. You know what I mean? I feel like you should clean up your divisions first and foremost, which Canelo hasn't done yet. I mean, as much as we say that and people, oh, come on, Devon, bro. Like, come on, man. No, come on. That's fact. Charlo's about to fight Castaño this weekend. If Charlo wins in tremendous fashion, then what's up? Benavidez is going to fight David Lemieux at the end of this month. If David Benavidez wins in grand fashion, what's up? Andre been waiting. He's been waiting for 5 or 6 years. So what's up? Like, you got 3 names right there, all 3 in which would sell, in my opinion. So there's not a problem about money. And they will go fight wherever you want to fight. They just want to fight you. They want the opportunity. Right? So you haven't cleaned up the weight classes. And that's it. So you clean weight classes first, you defend, then you go for pound. That's how it works. Now, even Bud, right? Even Bud did that, right? A lot of people don't like things about Bud, but Bud cleaned up his weight class, defended, and then moved up, and now he's at 147. And he's got to deal with Errol Spence, right? But you got to give credit where credit is due. That's how you got to handle it. And Canelo's been, like I said, hopscotching. That's what he does. Hopscotch around, avoid this fight, avoid that fight. I'm going to go up here. And he paints this picture like, oh, I'm fighting for legacy. I'm fighting to be pound for pound best. Well, guess what? Cherry picking gone wrong, son. That's what happened. That's what happened. And it absolutely blows my mind that he went out so quick early in that round or early in that fight to try to knock the dude out. I'm like, wow, really? This is going to be interesting. You're carrying 20 pounds more muscle on this vegan diet, by the way. Yeah, I said it. 20 pounds more muscle on a vegan diet, by the way. Right? And let's see how you carry that weight coming out with all these big power shots. And he couldn't carry it, which is why he needs to leave 175 the hell alone, in my opinion. Deanna Branch in the building was good.
He couldn't have his contaminated meat, Divine. You know that. He couldn't eat his meat. That's what it was.
Well, you said it, not me. Jimmy, what's good, man?
You good, bro?
What's your thoughts?
Yeah, man. It was a bit of a shock defeat, considering the run that Canelo was on. But congrats to Bivol, man. You look tremendous. The speed, the skill, the footwork. I always thought this was the toughest out, just because of his style, Bivol's. So you guys are saying it's a cherry pick. I don't really agree. Outside the Demetrius Andrade, stylistically, Bivol, I feel, is a lot tougher than guys like Benavidez, who's kind of more flat-footed and come forward aggressive and basic, and Charlo, who I don't think is that versatile. Yeah, I mean, Bivol and Andre, for me, have always been probably Canelo's toughest fights. Of course, Beterbiev as well. I mean, as far as the underdog thing, I think everyone from 160 to cruiserweight is probably an underdog for Canelo because of how much hype he had and the run he was going through. I always thought it was a tough fight, But yeah, man,
All right,
Bivol looked
so
great, and this is probably the worst Canelo has ever looked. I mean, he looked really bad.
you're saying Canelo looked really bad.
Yeah, he did. I mean, he looked gassed out. He
Okay.
looked, yeah, man.
All
Oh,
right.
can I
So,
get him? Can I get him, please?
you're saying that it wasn't a cherry pick though, right? And you're saying it's not a cherry pick because what again?
Because stylistically, I rate Bivol as a really good technical boxer. Canelo's always struggle with guys that've got a good jab, footwork, that can move, that are fast and technical. And Bivol had all those
Okay.
attributes combined with the size.
Okay, hold your thought though. Hold that thought. Hold that thought. So I agree with you that Bivol is the most technical fighter, if not the most, one of the most technical fighters in 175. That is true, right? But I got to remind you of the scorecards. 115, 113. Damn near a draw. Yes?
Yep.
So
Yeah,
on a dangerous standpoint, as in him potentially being knocked out, did he take the most dangerous fight at 175? Yes or no?
175. You know what, mate? It's tough though because technically, I'd rate Bivol better than Beterbiev, but Beterbiev's got that strength and firepower where he's such a physical beast, where he's got a higher chance to knock out Canelo. Is he a better boxer than Bivol?
No, but you're missing my point of the question. You're missing my point. My point is that it's not an argument on who's more technical or who's more dangerous. The argument is that what we witnessed was on my scorecard, I scored at 9-3. Some people had it 10-2. G5 had it 8-4. Regardless, right? It's a comfortable victory for Bivol, and the judges almost scored it a draw, and they wanted to give it to Bivol. Canelo knows this. He knows if he goes up against a technical boxer, he might get outboxed here and there, but he has a chance to win on the scorecards if it goes to 12. We saw it against Erislandy Lora. We saw it against Floyd Mayweather when one judge scored it a fucking draw, right?
Yep.
And we saw it against Triple G, who's not really a boxer, but boxer-puncher. And we saw it against Austin Trout, where some of the scorecards were egregious as well, even though I thought Canelo won, but the scorecards were ridiculous. So is it a dangerous fight? Not really, because all he has to do is throw big power punches, ooh, and all the crowd, sway the judges, and either get a draw or get a decision, even though he didn't really perform that brilliantly. But if you fight Beterbiev, if you fight Joe Smith, you take the risk of fighting a big, strong 175-pounder who can potentially knock you out. That's much more dangerous than having a fight go to the scorecards.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Agree or disagree?
100% as far as Beterbiev. I mean, he's probably probably the most destructive puncher in boxing, pound for pound. My thing is this, though. I believe PBC came to the table with a deal. So did DAZN. I mean, when did Bob Arum or Beterbiev or any of them really come to the table and offer Canelo a multi-fight deal? So it was Charlo and Benavidez, or it was Golovkin or Bivol, right?
I think
PBC said Benavidez and Cello, and he walked away. I think it was $120 million, sweetheart. He walks away from PBC, and then DAZN told him, Andre and I believe it was Triple G and Andre and Triple G, something like that. But he doesn't want. He'll fight Triple G again because Triple G is 922 years old. He's not going to fight the likes of an Andre or a Charlo or Benavidez. He's scared. He's a ducker. That's what he does. He ducks. And he goes and cherry picks, randoms like a Rocky Fielding that nobody ever heard of, or the whole Smith family from England that nobody ever heard of, or the average pilgrim.
Yeah, but I don't view Charlo as more dangerous than Bivol because at 160 he hasn't really shown any power.
You're talking about Charlo flat-footed. You're talking about Jamal. You're not talking about Jamal. And then you want to talk about Bivol's flat-footed as fuck. Did you not watch that fight against that he just had with Canelo? He was flat-footed as fuck. I mean, what fight was you watching? Was you drunk or high? Because Bill was pretty fucking flat-footed.
Than Bivol. You think Jamal Charlo's got slicker footwork than Dimitri Bivol?
Dimitri Bivol, did he have what footwork did he exercise? Please do tell. Please do.
He moved around the ring and he also stood in. So he moved around the ring and he also stood.
Did y'all see this footwork he speaks of, y'all? Divine and G5. Did y'all see this footwork he speaks of with Bivol?
Bill got footwork, but it was real basic. He just kept turning and pivoting out wherever he needed to go.
It
I
wasn't
mean,
nothing spectacular, right? It wasn't no this footwork he
it
speaks
was
of.
fundamental. He's got good fundamental
had
footwork. It's nothing extravagant. It's nothing mind blowing, right? It's not Arislandi Lora footwork. I'll
He's
tell you
very
that.
basic 1-2 fighter. He's
Right.
very much a European 1-2 fighter. He's like the Klitschko's in that aspect.
But Jimmy, you know what though? He
But he
didn't
got-
need to use footwork. He didn't need to use
he
it.
didn't.
He was longer, he was bigger, and he stuck the jab in his face the whole night, and Canelo couldn't do shit about it.
Yeah,
He didn't
Right,
need to use
Canelo
And he
got.
controlled the distance and range. He
Yeah,
controlled the
he didn't
distance
need
and
to.
range. And it frustrated him. Canelo started getting frustrated. That's when you know, like, he doesn't really have a way to really hurt him or get the shots that he want to get off because he showed you that he was irritated.
And that's the thing. Once Canelo figured out that he couldn't hurt Bivol, it was game over at that point. Once Canelo threw his biggest, hardest punches, and Bivol ate that shit. He blocked it, absorbed it, and Canelo's like, shit, this is gonna be a long ass night.
Yeah.
And I don't think that I think Canelo was buzzed in the fight, but I don't think he was seriously hurt. But that's not a surprise because Bivol's not the biggest puncher in the division.
Yep.
But that's why I say it's a cherry pick on a lot of different levels. Number one, I don't think Bivol was the most dangerous fight in the division. Stylistically, yeah, sure. But the judges damn near robbed Bivol. And Canelo knows that if he fights a fighter like Bivol, he has a chance to still get the nod if he lasts the 12 rounds. I think if he fights a guy like Joe Smith, who has a hell of an engine, who's tough as nails, who's going to keep just grinding on you and coming at you and ripping body shots and throwing a big right hand. And if Canelo can't hurt him, that's a wrap. And we already saw that Canelo he's got engine problems, right? So it wasn't the most dangerous fight at 175. And let's not forget too that news has come out fairly recently that PBC offered a fight deal to Canelo to fight Errol Spence. And before anybody comes out here and says, oh, what are you talking about? Errol Spence is a 147 pounder. Well, yes, he is. But please, let's not forget that Amir Khan fought Canelo at 155.
Yep.
Amir Khan fought Canelo at 155 catch weight.
And wasn't allowed to rehydrate. And was not allowed to rehydrate at that. We're talking about Amir Khan now. Chinny Amir Khan, yeah. And was not allowed to rehydrate. We did the same thing with Bivol. Bivol had a no rehydration clause in his contract too.
So, and I didn't even know this. I didn't know the exact details until I was listening to BFTB earlier today. And he brought it up, right? So, and I had to go do my research like I always do. I don't take anybody's word for it. And lo and behold, yes, there was an offer from PBC. And Canelo's like, nope. Because guess what? Errol Spence ain't no Amir Khan. Even at 155.
Yeah, but see, people are saying
right?
that cherry picked.
So, I mean, let's be. This is where it starts to get. Say again.
Would you not say he'll get? No, I'm saying, would you not? I mean, Canelo's a super middleweight undisputed champion fighting a welterweight in Spence. I mean, I just can't see how fans wouldn't flame him for that. Because Spence, in my opinion, isn't even the best fighter in his own division.
They didn't flame him for knocking out Amir Khan in 6 rounds. They praised him for it. They're like, wow, knockout of the year.
Hey, Divine,
they love that knockout.
And this offer was 3 years ago. Canelo wasn't undisputed at 168 3 years ago. This wasn't a recent offer.
Right. It just recently started to come to surface.
There you go.
Right.
So during that time, Canelo
some of the diehards knew about it. But wasn't it, hey Gabe, wasn't it Blue Blood who actually broke the news first?
I believe so. I think so.
Yeah, I think it was Blue Blood who came out and said it, right? And that's where it caught my attention at first. And then later on, BFTB actually earlier today, he talked about it. So look, I mean, look at all the names, right? Look at all the names. Even if you say, oh, all right, Errol Spence, he's actually a 147 pounder. Maybe he can fight at 154, maybe. But okay, if you don't like that, fine. But still, that's another name that was offered who is a champion. And obviously it's not out of this world. It's not astronomical to think about it because, again, he fought Amir Khan at a catch weight of 155. As a matter of fact, on fight night, Canelo weighed 178 pounds. He was way bigger than Amir Khan. And that's why Amir Khan got put to sleep.
And let's be honest, he said Canelo's natural. Canelo walks around at like 185, sweetheart. James, whatever your name is. I'm sorry if I messed your name up. He walks around like 185. So what are you talking about? That is his natural weight.
No, but that's what I'm
He
saying.
went up there, he took his goofy ass up there to 175 again, thinking he was going to beat another European fighter and got his ass assassinated. It's as simple as that. Don't be trying to cap him.
No, that's what I'm saying about the Errol Spence thing. So if, according to you, moving up to light heavyweight is a cherry pick, then what is dragging up a welterweight 3 weight classes?
Well, Canelo said that offer's not off the table. So Canelo had some interest in that fight. So,
of course, he would want to fight a smaller ass Spence. Of course, he would. He would love to fight a small ass Spence at 164. Canelo think he but I didn't like fucking Earl Spence, but I think Spence would tap that ass. And I can't stand y'all know I don't like that nigga. But I think he would tap that ass.
I seriously doubt that. I mean, I thought that'd end really badly for Spence.
Do you think that?
Ugas has hurt him.
Do you think
Ugas
that?
has gotten him. I mean, look, if Ugas can make him do the chicken dance, I mean, what is Canelo going to do to him?
Well, I mean, come on, man. Ugas. Errol Spence got his mouthpiece knocked out, and he got caught clean. Yes, when he's looking for his mouthpiece, and without a mouthpiece, and without the referee intervening, Ugas couldn't really capitalize on it. And that won't happen again.
Divine, stop the madness, because he wobbled that leg, and I think was it the 7th round. He had his ass. He wobbled that leg in the 7th round too. Stop it, and there wasn't no damn mouthpiece then either. Y'all better cut shit.
Don't take that fight away from Bud, man. My boy Bud needs that fight.
Yeah, but I was there at the fight. I'm looking right at the dude.
You was at the fight. I don't give a damn. You was at the fight. You was inside the fight. He still wobbled that nigga leg in the 7th round, and I saw my own 2 damn eyes. Mister, I was at the goddamn fight.
Hey, how was Ugas looking after the fight though?
Well, that's what Ugas dumbass. I don't know what after the 5th round. I don't know what went over to the corner. He went over to his corner, came out with a whole different fight plan. Nigga, who told you to sit there with a damn high guard and not throw any punches? That was the strangest game plan I've ever seen.
Well, he was getting hurt. He was getting touched up. That's why he was covering up.
He just stood there like he didn't even throw like he was throwing like 1 or 2 punches around. Like, what is this game plan? This is weird. But by all means,
his hip bones hurt. Earl and Canelo do that. They can't hit you in the ribs. They hit you in
No, what it was, Earl was being enjoy like he usually do and 10 people in their damn private pots. That nigga loves nuts. Yeah, that's why I call his ass Almond Joy, because he loves hitting people in their damn nuts.
Yo, G5,
yeah, that's not cool.
What weight do you think Errol Spence walks around at?
170.
Well, now with a nutritionist, he ain't gonna let him go no past 160.
Right.
160.
I was thinking about 160, 162, something like that. Right. So that would mean that 155 catch weight would make sense.
Yeah, because I mean, when he was just doing this thing, which he admitted, you see him, he'll be a good 185. You know what I'm saying? Right. Solid
people,
185.
Let's not forget that Canelo
is light skin, Emmanuel. Shut your light skin ass up. That's not to say. Sorry.
Let's not forget that Canelo's 5'7.5" with a 70-inch reach. He is not naturally a big man. Some of y'all be acting like he's walking around 6'2" with a 75-inch reach. Like, seriously.
I just want to see the Crawford fight. I just want to see the Crawford fight so badly that.
Oh no! That fight has to happen first.
It ain't gonna happen. It's not gonna
I
happen.
agree.
It's
I
not
agree.
gonna happen.
And we need to know within the next like month or two. Rondo, what's good, bro? And I see my man A1 Hoop Zone in the building. We got to talk some basketball, A1, because
No,
my
don't
sons,
talk to his
man.
light skin as Divine. Do not talk to his light. That's my mortal enemy.
Oh shit.
If they do it, after they do announce it, it'll be like after Charlo Castano or after the winner or some shit like that.
Well, according to y'all
You know what I'm
boy,
saying? Because if they
Earl the Lie, One Eye
Because I-
Willie, he said that it's old boy Al Heyman that doesn't want to make the fight. So that's according to y'all One Eye Willie friend. So
And
sound like a
you
duck
know,
to me.
do you know another reason why I know it's a cherry pick? Because
oh,
they
don't think he makes-
discredited Bivol so much to the point where nobody even paid any mind to the man. He's just another stepping stone. They spent more time talking about Usyk and Canelo than they did about Bivol.
Yeah.
That is how they portrayed Bivol. They're like, Bivol ain't shit. He's just another Russian fighter who's stiff and no skill, and Canelo's going to blast him out of there. And I believe Canelo followed that hype. I believe he absorbed that hype, and he was like, "Oh, that's how the media feels. All right, cool. I guess I don't have to worry about this man." And he didn't do his homework.
I think so. I agree with you, bro. I mean, showing up in silk pajamas, having his daughter in his lap during the media event, golf tournaments. I mean, even after he lost, bro, he was in a club partying. You see the after clip video where he was in the after club party, like letting champagne rip and making it rain and stuff like that. So I mean, I don't know where Canelo's mind is mentally. Maybe he's just lost focus. He's made so much money. He's done so many world title fights, etc. I mean,
No, it's just because he can't do none of his juicing no more. Eddie and the Juice Crew been taking L's back to back. That's what it is.
How the hell you gonna have two fighters in the same camp literally lose back-to-back weekends? Back-to-back weekends. And not only did they take L's, both of them got their ass beat.
It wasn't just L, right, Divine?
It wasn't just like, oh, they had a nice big, close fight. No, they got their ass smacked up across the ring for 12 rounds.
Divine, bro. A couple of months ago, do you remember when Martinez fought Chocolito? That was on the Eddie Reynoso as well. That was a beatdown as well.
Yeah, it was. All his Juice Crew been losing. The Juice Crew been losing because they can't juice no more. People been coming on to they juicing. Eddie and the Juice Crew. Because Shakur Stevenson, that was a clinical ass whooping if I ain't never seen one. Ooh, that was a clinical ass whooping. That shit was a disaster.
Talking about Eddie Reynoso, trainer of the year, man. Get out of my face with
Get
that
the
shit.
fuck out of here. Unless he juice. Remember Devin Haney said that? No juice, no coach of the year, no trainer of the year.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now,
Valdez
only
punk
person I
ass.
need to win next is Devin Haney. He better go there, Australia, and whoop little buddy ass.
Valdez after the fight looking like he's about to cry. You saw that?
You know what?
couldn't.
Because he was very humble after the fight, but then he come to excuses. I can't stand when they do that. Just take your L and keep it moving.
Well, I mean, Canelo did that in the ring after the fight. I heard him say, hold up though. At first he said Bivol won, he was the better man.
Right.
Then a few breaths later, he talking about, well, I think I won the fight. I think that the scorecards were just a little bit off. Just a little bit off. Oh, so what? You thought you won 115, 113? Or what? I'm confused.
Yeah, in the post press, he was saying he thought he won 8 rounds.
8 rounds. But see, that's that bullshit. Like, oh, you put a jab in my face 16 to 18 times in a round. You straight me with right hands. You know what I'm saying? Like I left hook you, I check left hook you, I do all these things, and you hit me with like 5 power shots, so you win the round, right? Because the crowd got you all hyped up. Every time you throw a body shot, everyone's like, "Oh!"
The crowd started booing his ass, so that was weird. You don't never see Cinnamon get booed.
They booed the decision because he lost. No, they booed the decision because he lost.
No, somebody before the decision, honey. They was booing him in the ring.
Okay.
Well, they were booing the shit out of Bivol when he made his ring walk. They were booing him.
Yeah,
when
they were.
the decision was announced, they were booing him. And all Bivol did during the post-fight press conference was laugh his ass off. He was laughing the whole time. And he basically said, y'all thought that I wasn't shit. And they said, why do you think you beat Canelo? Because I'm better and because I had a better game plan.
I've always respected Bivol because Andre Ward was really high on him. He was one of my favorite fighters, so I kept an eye on him. He fell off the radar a couple of last years because of COVID and stuff. But I want to see the Better Be a Bivol fight. I mean, these guys have been number one, number two for 3 years. I just want to see them lock horns and finally, settle it.
I seen one
Soon
of
though,
those damn sentiment fans try to say he had COVID and COVID is the reason why he lost. Y'all, these niggas will come up with anything. He don't have
no,
COVID. It's his vegan diet. It's his religion. It's his wife. It's his children. It's his dog. It's the cat around the corner.
I
Yeah,
don't want to use that. I don't want to use that as an excuse, yeah. But from going to juicy beef to carrots and peas, I don't know about the vegan diet, to be honest. Especially for
vegan is
that high.
actually better for you. It's actually better for your body.
I find it ironic. I find it extremely ironic that on or after the attack by Caleb Plant on Canelo in regards to PEDs and all that other shit, all of a sudden Canelo go vegan. And when Valdez was under his suspicion of popping as well, Canelo all of a sudden turns into this vegetable eater. Yeah. Right? And it's just it all the timing and everything, how everything unfolded makes me extremely curious and hyper aware of the fact that there's some suspicious shit going on. I don't know what it is exactly, but you used to pride yourself. You used to talk about it in the media about these yummy, juicy, big steaks that you get in Mexico and how good they are and how strong they make you. I ain't making this shit up, people. Look it up.
Mm-hmm.
That he was talking about it, having his horse farm and riding horses and cooking steaks and eating all this meat, and I got this caveman diet and all this other shit. Don't believe me? Look it up. And then all of a sudden, when Caleb Plant put him on blast in front of everybody, after that, he's talking about, I think I'm going to go vegan. I think it's better for me.
And actually, vegan diet is actually much better for you than a protein diet, and that's just facts.
But what's up with his stamina, though, bro? Because
he can't juice anymore. He can't take some mineral. He can't blame it on contaminated meat. That's what his stamina is. That's what it is.
Bro, he looked exhausted, though. He was breathing heavy. He was, I don't know, man. And it wasn't even a high-paced fight, though. It wasn't like they were slugging it out for 3-4 rounds.
Have you noticed that before he started juice, before he was with Eddie Reynoso and the Juice Crew, he was always sluggish. He could never get past the 8th, 9th round. He would always die out like he did with Mayweather, Trout. So yeah, then he started getting with the Juice Crew, and then he was juicing, and then he got called out, and now he can't juice anymore. So that's why he's saying he's going back to the old Canelo. You're just saying the old Canelo repeat itself. I don't understand, Jamie. Have you not been watching this man fight for the last decade?
No, I haven't. No, that's the point, though. When he fought Golovkin in the rematch, Billy Joe.
Because he was juicing. He was part of the Juice Crew.
So why did he stop then? Because it was working. That's what I'm saying. Whatever he was doing, but he did drug test for this fight. So I don't want to throw him under the bus. He did drug test for this fight. But whatever he was doing, I mean, because he was a very sort of, sharp, explosive, quick guy.
I don't understand what you're not getting. He was juicing. That's what he was doing before. And that's why he would take so long to finalize fights and shit, because he was cycling off his PEDs. They know what the fuck he was doing. He knew what the fuck he was doing. He was cycling off. That's why it was always taking so long to go drug test. This time he just fought he just fought the better man. He just got that ass test finally.
You guys know the old saying, right? Like in almost any situation in life, if you catch a partner cheating on you or lying or some shit like that, right? The easiest way to expose a person is how they act when you put them under the fire.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happened with Caleb Plant. Caleb Plant said, "You've been out here cheating, man. Shut your bitch ass up." And what happened? Canelo got very upset. He took it extremely personal, right? And we've never really seen Canelo act like that ever.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I never even came on here and accused Canelo of PEDs. It's not my MO. But when Canelo acted like that, when Caleb Plant called him out, I was like, because that reminded me of hitting up one of my exes and being like, yo, I know you out here fooling around, huh? And they went, man, you crazy. I ain't ever do no shit. Da, 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 go all fucking belligerent and whatever the fuck. I'm like, yeah, you guilty, bitch. Shut up. Right? It's like literally he took it in the way that exposed him, in my personal opinion. Because if he's not cheating, and he never cheated, it wouldn't be a thorn in his side. He would just be like, man, what are you talking about? He would have shrugged that off. It would have been like, this kid is crazy, right? But no,
Canelo
he
doesn't
took it
believe-
very personal, and I think it cut him in a way that it got into his head a little bit. So anyway, the PED type shit, it's like it reminds me of talking about Manny Pacquiao in the day. He didn't want to take any blood test, and the Mayweather fiasco. I ain't even trying to go down that road because it's like, you know,
When you
beating a
know, you
dead horse.
know, right, Divine? When you know, you know.
Yeah, exactly. You're beating a dead horse. Canelo fans will never admit it. They call blasphemy. They call us crazy. No, he would never do that. And you know, oh, he's not the first one to do different weight classes. It doesn't mean he's on drugs. Okay, well, many times in boxing history, when fighters move up in weight, they've been caught taking drugs. I mean, let's not pretend like it's never happened before. And let me remind everybody, and I've said it before, on the double standards. When Canelo popped, he got like, what, a 6-month suspension, right? And for the most part, it was put under the rug. A lot of people didn't even really pay attention to it.
No.
Unless you were a diehard boxing fan and you have the information in these inner circles. But it never was, lambasted in the mainstream media, like ESPN, all these big news outlets. They hardly even talked about it, right? And all of a sudden, he comes back into the ring like nothing ever happened. But I want to remind people that when Sugar Shane Mosley got caught taking EPOs, he had to go before a judge and plead for mercy. And ESPN and all of the big outlets put him on national TV and fucking displayed it all over the country of Sugar Shane Mosley begging a judge to not take his boxing license away. And not only that, take the victory away that he had against Oscar De La Hoya. They shredded Sugar Shane Mosley in the media. Right? And not only was he shredded by mainstream media, but his own fans disowned him. Loyal fans. Black America. To be specific. Said, fuck Sugar Shane. He's a cheating ass bitch. But when Canelo does it, oh, he accidentally ate too much beef. That's the double standard that we be talking about on here. And when people come in here talking about, oh, you guys are racist and LDBC ain't shit and all this other crazy shit. Well, look, what are we literally talking about? We get painted or we get thrown in all these different boxes. But what I just said, right, just right there was an absolute fact.
Divine, look at this. Look how they clowned the fuck out of Deontay Wilder when he said Tyson Fury cheated with his gloves or whatever. But they totally brushed over the fact that Tyson Fury had been caught cheating several times with doing PEDs and other shit. But that was never no issue. It was just the fact when he said he felt like he cheated with his gloves. That became like the number one talking point forever.
No, but I think with Wilder, he had a lot of excuses with the costume and the egg
Oh,
whites.
okay. He had nobody. He never said nothing about the costume. That was somebody else that said that. Y'all put that on Wilder. Wilder never said anything about his costume. That was something that fans put on him. He never said that. That you should have Wilder that came out of Wilder's mouth. I bet you $100 right now. It never came out of his mouth.
Hey, Destiny, you just opened up a can of worms with Jimmy here about Wilder.
And then, but Tyson Fury do all the damn PEDs and all the drugs and everything else, and he can cheat with his gloves, which we saw with our own 2 eyes that he was cheating with his gloves. But that's okay. We get it. We get it, Jimmy. We get it. We've been
Tyson Fury is definitely a ped user. Look, my thing is this: I think most athletes, like in the UFC and boxing, use it. Like Brock Lesnar, John Jones, Canelo probably, Tyson Fury. And these
Jim,
are some of my
Jim
favorite.
Jones did not eat. No, I'm not gonna let you make it with him. John Jones did cocaine. He was not doing PEDs. He sniffed some cocaine. He wasn't even about to fight. Yeah, he just same thing like David Benavidez. He sniffed some cocaine. That's not the same thing like your boy Cinnamon and goddamn Tyson, the PED user. Then try to tell somebody he ate what they contaminated meat with his ass too, or he ate some bad pork. The fuck out of here. And then try to make that damn old man lie for him, and then threaten to beat him up.
Jimmy. Let's just ask the question straight up. Do you think Fury's gloves were tampered with in the second fight, or the first fight for that matter? Either one.
100%. No, I don't know. Because if you make it floppy,
no.
Yeah, because if it's just basic sort of. Say if something's floppy and soft, right? Why would you want it to be floppy and soft? Wouldn't you want it hard so you can knock someone out? I think was it Ishe Smith? He did a video about this to explain that the whole theory is a nonsense. You know, I mean, while this trainer was in the room, they checked the gloves. The commission checked the gloves. I mean, I think it's just like, sort of crybabies and, while they're looking for excuses.
All right. Hold up. So no need to get into a long explanation, just a straight up question, right? And then I'll go around the panel. Destiny, do you think Fury's gloves were tampered with?
Absolutely. That wasn't the first time he got caught with his gloves. One time a referee actually caught his ass in the ring before with his tempered gloves. So absolutely they were tampered with.
The number one grinder in the building. What's good, man? The question being thrown at you: do you think Fury's gloves at any point in the trilogy were tampered with?
Hell yes. Let me say this though too. Now, as we could call us hardcore fans, right? That knows the sport, right? Understand my thinking, right? When a person rap, they get rap out, right? And I'm saying that if the camera's still there, right? We actually see them wrap their hands, right? Am I correct?
Usually, yeah. Especially big fights.
Especially big fights. Thank you very much, bro. Now, why all of a sudden when Fury wrapped his hand, the light went out?
They covered up the TV. They covered up the whole TV.
I'm sorry. They cut up the TV. I've never seen nothing like that in boxing.
Never in history.
Never in history. So explain that to me, please.
Right. So, Jimmy, my question would be this, right? And this is my stance. It's always been my stance. Is that even you just said, I don't think the gloves were tampered with, but yeah, they look floppy. Okay. Well, first off, having a floppy glove doesn't really happen in boxing, and it shouldn't happen. That's the first and foremost. I'm not accusing. I'm just stating, right? Secondly, if the glove is looking floppy, which there were pictures posted about it all over the internet, all over the place, people making videos about it, and big channels were making videos about it. Dante's Boxing Nation, 78, and even channels that are not pro Wilder even said, this is kind of strange. I never seen a glove flop like that, right? So, without accusing, right? You're innocent until proven guilty. Cool. But why didn't the commissions or any other body of power at least question it? At least say, yeah, let's find out why these gloves were floppy. Like, were they not put on properly? Was it the glove itself? Did it come off during the fight because they were clinching? Let's try to figure out. No investigation whatsoever. Literally, when Fury said, oh, Wilder's crazy, of course I wouldn't tamper my gloves. The whole boxing world took that word as gold and said, oh, well, I guess he didn't cheat then. And literally no questions were asked, which opens doors of speculation. And then people get upset that some of us here on YouTube continue to try and figure out the answers. And they're like, oh, you guys just need to drop it. Well, it's us asking questions. It's us saying, why is this happening? For me, I never came out and said, yep, Fury cheated. Yep, Fury did something with his gloves. Oh, look at his knuckles. Look at this. Nope, I didn't. I said, why the fuck is his glove looking like that? Why is it all flopping all over the place? I've been watching boxing since I was a little kid. I boxed myself. And I guarantee you what, no coach that I've ever had in boxing would allow my glove to flop like that before a fight.
All right, can I ask you a question, brother?
And yes, just one last point.
Okay.
2 reasons for that. Number one, if your glove flapping like that, you take the risk of severe injury to yourself. Right? And number 2, you take the risk of getting into the ring. And what is the referee supposed to do when you're in your corner before they have the 2 fighters face off? For the referee to give instructions before the first bell rings, they check, number 1, your cup to make sure you're wearing a cup. And number 2, they check your gloves to make sure that they're put on properly. They check the tape on the gloves, right? And they literally, a lot of the referees will grab the fingers, the inside of the finger of the glove, and pull it, right? So that's standard, right? That is standard. So that's the 2 reasons why, for me, I'm going to be suspicious of a flopping glove because of those 2 very specific reasons that I just pointed out.
He said, what do floppy gloves mean? Why would you want hard gloves?
Can't make this up, man. Can't make this up.
Look, I think it's this though.
Jim, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh at you, honey, but that was funny as fuck. Devon said floppy gloves.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry
I
laughing.
think it's possible. Look, Divine makes a good point. Is it within the realms of possibility? Sure, anything is. I mean, I wasn't there to personally check the gloves. I wouldn't, put my head on the chopping block for it, my neck. But I mean, look, I can only go by the basic, information what's out there. The commission approved it, Wilder's team approved it, the referee co-signed off on it, and that's it.
The commission approved Margarito glove 1,000 times. What the hell does that mean? Little buddy who killed that little man in the damn ring. What was that, 80, 90 something, late 80s, early 90s?
Yep.
They
And God bless the soul of Nazim Richardson, because if it wasn't for him, Margarito would have cheated again.
Yeah, but JD was in the locker room, right, checking the gloves, just Nazim Richardson. So
everybody don't catch shit, clearly, because Proto Coach didn't catch Margarito ass cheating. Right. So everybody don't catch shit. Don't be talking about the damn commission. The commission ain't worth shit. The commission will let you come in there with goddamn spikes in your damn gloves. Them motherfuckers ain't worth shit. Fuck the commission.
But I want to ask you, brother Devon, right? You box, right?
Yeah, I used to. Yeah.
You so okay. Help me out with this. I'm man of reason. When you put on your gloves, right? Okay, you make sure the gloves go right in, right? And tape in, and then the trainer tests you that, right? But in theory, right? And this is public information, y'all. There's pictures. I want to know. The fingers was sticking out where the strings is at, and it was flopping. Now it's on public record, and it's all due respect, and you still say he didn't do nothing wrong. Do you know when he was fighting Wilder that he bust his eardrum? Do you know how dangerous that is? And his head, do you know how dangerous that is?
Dent to the man's skull. I don't know anybody else had their skull dented in the sport of boxing. With the gloves not being tampered. I've never heard of that. That was new.
How would he get away
with
it?
Number one grinder. Number one grinder. Look, you've been around watching the sport for a long time, right? Mm-hmm. You're probably the oldest one on the panel. All respect to you. I'm sure you remember the days of Mike Tyson, right? In the 80s, in his prime. Mm-hmm. What would he used to do after he would get his gloves on? He would pound his gloves together. He would punch the wall. Sometimes he would punch the wall to break them loose, to get his knuckles to protrude out of the glove.
And sometimes he punched the pipe. Any pipe?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So okay. Oh yeah, but Fury's not a puncher like Tyson. Mike Tyson. Well, yeah, sure. But again, that's not the point. That's not how you wear gloves. And I'm not saying that. Look, before anybody says, "Oh, Divine's a hater," I'm asking a question. I'm asking a question. Why is his glove flopping like that? I'm not saying they were tampered with. I'm asking, why was it flopping like that?
That is hilarious.
It's crazy.
Yeah, but I think how would he get away with that though? Because he's a British fighter traveling to America to take on the American champion, right? In his backyard, his country. I just can't see how he'd get away with that.
Right. Do you understand about racism? Because I don't act like you don't have racism in England, because y'all damn sure do. Racism is not exclusive to America. It's very much inclusive to all Europeans, sir. So you understand why that happened. Because he's a white man fighting a black man in America. A black man from Alabama at that to call himself the Bronze Bomber. And he said till this day, and that's why. Don't act like you fucking blind, retarded, and deaf.
Well, you got a fellow black man in Radio Raheem asking the most dumbest question in the media ever in history.
Radio Raccoon.
To Wilder, and whatever. There's a lot of suspicious shit, right? And people get some excuses that were made by Wilder, this, that, and the third. And let me say this. Despite what you feel, rather you think the accusations were real or not, if anybody disrespects Wilder for giving us that trilogy and putting on some of the best heavyweight fights in heavyweight history, because it takes two to tango, people. After Wilder fought Fury and it was scored a draw, Wilder didn't have to rematch Fury. If you want to talk about excuses, Wilder could have said, I think I knocked his ass out. I think it was a bogus call by Jack Reese, and I'm going to move on and do other things. But he took the rematch. He took the third fight. And as a matter of fact, Fury didn't want that third fight.
For a long
he
time.
He got COVID. His daughter was sick. He wasn't training properly. They pushed the fight off, right? They pushed it further down the line, which Wilder could have been in his peak. Wilder could have very potentially overtrained. He could have overtrained for that fight.
That's true.
Because he was ready in July. Fury wasn't. So my thing is this. If you can't stand Wilder and his excuses, fine. I'll let you have your moment. If you want to die on the heel of Fury was cheating, fine. You can have that moment. But nobody's going to disrespect Wilder over here. And yes, I'm going to say it. Wilder is an all-time great heavyweight, period. And I challenge anybody to change my mind on that.
No, look, even if you're not a Wilder fan, you have to still respect the courage he showed in the third fight, because he was taking a hellacious, firefight. It was back and forth. He hurt Fury, he got hurt back. It was a good fight, one of the best heavyweight fights of the last several years. Shout out to Wilder.
And he won two of the three fights. He won the first fight because that knockdown was actually a 13 count. And the same thing in the third fight. He knocked his ass down. That was a 13, 15 count. So he won two of the three.
And that's
just like that. Just like that.
The best thing that could happen right now is there's AJ, if he does lose to Usyk again, why not just finally make that Joshua Wilder? The original super fight.
Nobody want to see that shit. Nobody want to see Joshua fight no more, period.
Let me ask you this, Jimmy. Check this out. Let's twist that question a little bit. Because right now, a lot of people think that Wilder was exposed. A lot of people think that Fury is actually the best heavyweight in this era, right? He beat Klitschko. He beat Wilder, twice. Some people even think Fury won the first fight too. A lot of Fury fans think that Fury won the first fight. They think he's 3-0, right? So Fury fans think that he's the greatest thing since Muhammad Ali, right? That's what Fury fans think. I'm keeping it. This is what I've heard through my own eardrums in my personal life. I'm not even talking about YouTube, right? Yeah. So let's twist a couple scenarios. Fury right now at this very moment says he's retired, right? That's what he's telling everyone. I'm done. I've done everything I could do in the sport. I'm done. Now, if Wilder comes back, and fights either Usyk or Joshua and knocks either one of those two out, then let's say he fights the winner of Andy Ruiz and whoever he's going to fight. I forgot who he's planning to fight, and
Luis
takes care of
Ortiz.
that. Yeah, Luis Ortiz, which there's no point. If Luis Ortiz beats Ruiz, then it doesn't make sense to fight. But if Ruiz beats Ortiz, you can fight Ruiz too. So you beat Ruiz, you beat the winner of Joshua Usyk, right? Fury's retired. When it's all said and done, and Wilder officially retires after having these two victories under his belt, who has the better legacy?
Yeah, man,
Fury
if
or
he comes
Wilder?
back and if he comes back and beats the winner of Joshua Usyk and the winner of, especially if Ruiz wins and becomes, I guess, undisputed because the BC belt will become vacant. Wilder's got, you know, a good resume right there. Undisputed champion, some good, you know, strong wins. But I don't think he'll ever
Because
beat
the reason
Joshua.
why I asked that, the reason why I asked that is this.
tomorrow's. Okay.
And we got the number one grind on here. He knows a lot about boxing history, especially in the 70s and 80s, which I'm glad we have him on the panel. The reason why I asked that is because Muhammad Ali's legacy was never tainted because he lost to Ken Norton. When you look at the heavyweight all-time greats, Muhammad Ali is always going to be above Ken Norton. Just because Wilder lost to Fury doesn't necessarily mean that when it's all said and done, Fury's going to be above Wilder. If Wilder fights Joshua, who Fury never fights, if Wilder fights Usyk, who Fury never fights, if Wilder fights Ruiz, who Fury never fights, and he wins those fights, he has a better legacy. Period.
I mean, you could say
because
Manny
all
Pacquiao.
Fury really has on his resume that
It's
really
Wilder.
outshines anybody in the division is the fact that he's fought Wilder 3 times. You can say the Klitschko fight, but the Klitschko fight, he was way past his prime.
He was over the hill already.
Way past his prime.
Klitschko was area 728 years old.
So all Fury really has is to say, I beat the most dangerous puncher in the division, which I give him credit for. But that's all he has.
Sure.
Wilder right now, his resume is arguably compatible, if not better than Fury right now. The only thing that Fury has over Wilder is that he beat him twice and he's got Klitschko. That is it.
That's it.
Yep.
But Wilder got Luis Ortiz. Nobody's ever beat him besides Wilder.
Sorry, Wilder.
So,
And also
knocked out
too.
Pacquiao.
And
Pacquiao still got better.
how about if Wilder comes back and he just run it and he become undisputed? What you would say then? Because it could happen.
Yes.
It can happen. It's still out there. The heavyweight's still open.
Honestly, I don't want to see him fight no fucking Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua don't even want to fight no more. This man already got one foot out the door. Anthony Joshua just need to go ahead and retire and leave boxing alone.
Well, you don't got to worry about that.
He wants to be an American gangster. He wants to be an American gangster anyway. You know, he's big meat, Larry Hoover.
You don't got to worry about him because Usyk's going to take care of him.
Yeah,
Usyk's going to take care of him.
First of all, y'all gonna get off my man Joshua though, because y'all know that's my future baby daddy. Yeah, but we won't.
Deanna, I'm waiting for Deanna in the chat. Hashtag glitter boots.
First of all, what we won't do is talk about my future ex baby daddy. He is so fine. Y'all will not drag him.
Hey, he'll be pound for pound when it comes to modeling for underwear or some shit. Like,
yeah, yo, don't have me go there. You.
Thank you.
All right. Destiny, I'm gonna be nice to you, but you know, Joshua had did some things in the past.
Oh my God, I've heard it all. I heard it all. But that man is not gay. I have a very good gay guy, and he is not gay.
Okay.
Now,
well, 2022, right? I mean, he can
Fury
be bi.
is questionable. He the one that came out there with
a lot of these dudes out here bi, bro.
They are.
Now, Fury, did y'all remember when Fury came out with that last fight he had against Wilder? That was a very interesting, entrance into the ring.
And also, don't forget he eat wild animals too. Please think too.
Who eats wild out? You talking about fairy?
Yeah, very
Oh,
good.
he eat the wild boars.
He eat the
Yeah,
wild
that's what
boar.
it
He
was.
did.
That he was trying to beat that old man up. That old man was every bit a
That's
thousand
what
years
I'm saying. He
old.
eat wild animals. That's what I'm saying. He did.
Yeah, try to beat up that old ass man. Leave that old man alone because he wouldn't lie for you. Nigga, you know you was doing drugs too. Him and Canelo probably best friends. They probably got all the dinner all together.
No, I think Divine
Destiny
makes a
got.
good point though. That Riddick Bowe won
He's
the
not
trilogy
a
against
glitter
Evander
spitter,
Holyfield.
Diana. He is not a glitter spitter. Joshua is not a glitter spitter, y'all. What y'all will not do is talk about my future ex baby daddy.
Jimmy, what'd you say? Say it again.
No, bro, I said you make a good point though. Riddick Bowe won the trilogy against Evander Holyfield, but no one ever would put Riddick Bowe above Evander Holyfield.
Facts.
Evander Holyfield is 1,000 times above Riddick Bowe as far as overall legacy. Pacquiao Marquez, both
Facts.
guys are great fighters, but just because Pacquiao knocked out Marquez doesn't mean he's got a greater legacy. So look, in principle, definitely, if he came back strong, picked up several good wins, unified belts.
Well,
Overall, yeah,
that's what makes heavyweight special. Because
Yep.
if you say, in regards to Juan Manuel Marquez and Pacquiao, well, is who has a better legacy at 130 or 135? Probably Marquez, right? But it doesn't mean that, that Pacquiao isn't above Marquez on an all-time great list because Pacquiao conquered multiple weight classes. But that's what heavyweights, that's why it's special. Because who you fight in the division and when you fight them matters.
My
It matters.
question to you, Divine, what do you think about them trying to make Usyk as pound for pound number one over fucking Bud again?
Well, I'll keep that simple. I don't put heavyweights on pound for pound.
Thank you, and thank you.
Yes,
Thank
that never
you.
happened anyway. It doesn't.
Thank you. But now they're trying to do that. Now they want any excuse not to put Bud as pound for pound number one. I don't get it.
Well,
I
mean, I don't know how he's pound for pound when he's only won in 2 weight divisions. I mean, how many weight divisions has Bud won?
Thank you. Say it again for the niggas in the back.
So
they
I mean,
ain't trying to hear that.
Yeah,
they don't want to hear the truth.
And so look, and no disrespect to Usyk, I mean, I like him a lot skill wise. I think he's extremely talented. But look, man, I mean, yeah, like the pound for pound for me, heavyweights on the pound for pound list is always irritated me because it's like you are in your own special division as it is.
That's why they created
nobody can touch. Nobody can touch or compete the juggernaut division in boxing, which is the heavyweight division. You are within a division on its own. You're always going to have the special glamour and accolades. You're in the conversations of the Muhammad Alis, the Sonny Listons, the Larry Holmes, the Rocky Marcianos, all the great heavyweights. You are in your own category within itself. To put Tyson Fury on a list on a guy who's 140 pounds is stupid.
It's very dumb. And
that's why they created the pound for pound list because there's nobody who's 100. Hash, of course, Steve's never going to be the Wilder. On what planet?
And
what planet?
Yeah, and also the heavyweight division, as you know, in history, the leisure comes with it is very, very special. It's very unmatched of the other weight classes. So I don't understand why people are still trying to put Usyk on the pound for pound. The heavyweight already had their own leisure. So.
But I don't understand. I just don't give it to fucking Crawford. Why are they trying to find anybody under the goddamn the Tuscan sun to put over fucking Bud? Like I don't get it. Why do they hate that man so much? What has he done? Because he's suing the fuck out of Bob Arum bitch ass. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense.
The only way
pound for pound number one. What has he done? Like you said, over fucking Bud. Bud was the first one to become undisputed in over 13 years. It wasn't no goddamn Usyk.
Yeah, the Detroit BC was good, bro. The only way that I would consider Usyk being on the pound for pound list would be if he moved up from maybe light heavy. He has to be champion at light heavy, cruiser, and heavyweight. Then maybe I'll be like, okay, right? But not just cruiserweight, heavyweight, because cruiserweight to heavyweight has happened multiple times. It's nothing extraordinary, in my opinion. You go from 200 pounds to 220, whatever. right? It's not like, oh, you came up from 170 to 220. So I just don't, I just don't like it. And a lot of people disagree with me. And actually, if you want to be honest, I would say out of all the channels on YouTube that have any type of notoriety, 50% have heavyweights on the pound for pound list.
Yeah, yeah,
50%.
yeah, yeah. I think Blue Blood doesn't. I think he's saying like you and me, Divine. He does not believe in heavyweights being on a fucking pound for pound. That makes zero fucking sense. But let me say something to Teach. Inoue has a better chance of beating the Spence or a Bud than a fucking Shakur beating a goddamn Deontay Wilder or Tyson Fury. I mean, he has a way better chance of beating one of them. Like they're at least they're more in the same weight class. What is it, 20 pounds difference? Versus
I
100 pounds?
I think the only guy that beats Wilder is Fury. That's it. And that's not talking about cheating or nothing like that. It's simply talking about.
Can I just say something, Divine? You know, I love me some Wilder, but he's really not talented. He's a one-hitter quitter type of fighter, but he's really not a boxer. He's a puncher.
Yeah, for
Wilder,
sure.
he doesn't really have really good boxing skill sets. He doesn't even have the fundamentals. That's why I tell people like if Anthony Joshua wasn't so flaky and so chinny, he would have probably beat Deontay Wilder in a boxing match. Because he's much more technically sound.
Unfortunately, Joshua and Wilder, right? That fight can go 7-8 rounds, and Joshua styling on him, boxing well, and all of a sudden, good night.
That's what I'm saying. If he wasn't chinny, but I'm saying if he wasn't chinny, he would definitely beat the likes of a Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder, he doesn't know how to. He has no footwork, zero footwork.
But guess what though, Destiny? Like, that's what makes the heavyweight division special. Because if you got power, right? George Foreman was slower than a snail, and he crack you. Good night. I mean, that's it. George Foreman, right? So, and the lower weight classes, you almost have to have some certain type of ability other than power because the one punch opportunity just isn't there. But in the heavyweights, you know, like Jack Johnson, he wasn't all that crazy slick, but he was just he just knock you out. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Jack Johnson had it. Now Jack Johnson, he had some skill sets. He was they compared that big white dude they compared him to him. The one I used to wear them.
But he wasn't bobbing and weaving and moving around like a Jack Dempsey.
No.
Right? So, you know what I mean? Like, you have to look at that's why I love heavyweights. And people sometimes say, Divine, like, I don't get it. Because every time you talk about boxing, you always pick the boxer, the technical fighter, which is true. And they say, well, I don't get why you like Wilder. Because Wilder's a heavyweight. And what do I want to see? I want to see knockouts. That's what I want to see.
Divine, you sound like a casual right now.
That would make heavyweight so unique. That's what I'm saying. Like, why do you think most of the heavyweight fights, especially title shots throughout the career, always go be pay-per-view? Because they see I told people I was born and raised in New York, and I could tell you when Tyson was in Atlantic City, when you get on the bus of Port Authority. I'm talking about people. It used to be packed. You can't even get on the bus. You can't even get on New Jersey Transit. It was so packed for Tyson. Sometimes you have to leave like 8 or 9 hours before that. You have to take off a day of work to get to Lansing and get you a seat because they prepare for not. And then you better see it. I remember one time when I went to Lansing, they said, "Man, it made no sense you go to Trump. Why?" Just knocked them out. Damn. And that's how it was back then. And the heavyweight always been like that.
I remember,
the very first time I watched boxing was Mike Tyson, and it was him when he won his very first world championship in 1985. I was 5 years old, and ever since then, I was hooked on boxing. And the one fight I've never watched, and I will never watch again, is when he lost to James Buster Douglas. Y'all, when I told you I ugly cried, I'm talking about with the snot coming out your nose. I ugly cried when he lost to I could not believe he lost, and I never watched that fight again. And I refuse, and I don't give a fuck what nobody says. I'm never gonna watch that fight again.
Well, Mike Tyson and Wilder have two things in common: that when you know that they're about to fight, you can't tune in late because motherfuckers be getting knocked out early. Right? I remember when I was a kid and watching Mike Tyson fights with my dad, and my dad be yelling at me in the room, "You better get in here. It ain't gonna last long."
Yeah.
About running in the like, oh shit, third round knockout. You know what I mean? Like that's what makes heavyweight boxing beautiful. But I want to switch gears just real quickly and address this question. Right? We spent a lot of time on heavyweights. We love it, but let's stay on topic.
Okay.
Christian NWO says, I would say that Canelo is still number one. I'm guessing you're saying pound for pound? He beat the Laura at 154, Triple G at 160, became undisputed at 168. Does Crawford top that?
No.
Let's
I think Canelo's got the best resume.
Did he beat Laura? Did he beat
Sorry,
Triple
go
G? Son, whatever drugs you smoking, stop the shit. Cut the shit right now. Crack kills, honey, and it's killing your motherfucking brain cells. We all saw Laura beat that nigga ass from pillar to post, and we all saw Triple G beat that ass from pillar to motherfucking post. And I disputed at 168. He fought nobody. He fought the Rocky Fieldings, a goddamn Caleb Smiths, and all the Smith family from England. Who the fuck is these people that he beat at 168? 168 was the weakest division in boxing. The fuck out of here, Christian. Bring your black ass. Bring your weak ass on here. Bring your weak ass on here so we can clown your ass, buddy. Come on here. He got the link. Bring your bitch ass on here, because nigga, I got nothing but smoke for you. You gonna get all this smoke.
I just put the link in the chat. I put the link in the chat again, Christian. Christian, I know you're a Canelo fan, bro. You've been following me for years, so don't front, bro. Click the damn link. If you're in bed, it don't matter. I don't give a shit if you're in bed or not. Turn the lights
Bring
off.
your dumb ass on here, honey, because hooked on phonics. That's what you fucking need. We got to hook your ass right on motherfucking phonics today. Boxing basics, motherfucker. Boxing motherfucking basics.
Damn.
Unbelievable. Man.
Look, Canelo does have the best resume in boxing. That's inarguable, isn't it? Canelo has the best resume in boxing. I don't think anyone else, not even Usyk, comes close.
Who has the best resume in boxing?
Or Crawford or anyone.
Who has the best resume in boxing? Who does?
He said Canelo.
Jimmy, get the fuck out of here, Jimmy. Jimmy, get your dumb ass off of here too now, because now you smoking some shit. Get your dumb ass off of here too. The fuck is you smoking?
Who's better then?
He
Just
has
tell
the
me
best
who's
resume in
better,
boxing.
then you're not answering the question.
He has the best resume. So he has a better resume than motherfucking what's my boy named Adrian Broner? He has a better resume than Sean Porter. He has a better resume than goddamn Earl Spence. Get the fuck out of here.
You think Errol Spence has a better resume than Canelo Alvarez?
Absolutely.
One division guy.
He's got a better resume than goddamn Canelo. Every time Canelo steps up in fucking competition, he got his ass beat. Every time Canelo steps up in competition, he got his ass beat.
So Jimmy, let me ask you a question. Do you ever heard a fighter gave his sparring partner a title match?
After a 2-year layoff and a knockout. After a 2-year layoff and a knockout.
I never heard
that. The Yildirim thing, right? So Yildirim was. Shall I answer your question, mate? The Yildirim thing was actually Benavidez' mandatory before he lost his belt. Look, it was a shit fight. I agree with you, but that was sandwiched in between two undefeated champions, right? So look, I don't know who else is doing more then. Like, it's easy to hate on Canelo, but then you guys give examples of guys with weaker resumes.
Not
like
hating on Canelo. We going by the eye test. This is I don't know what world that you in. To be all due respect. Really?
No, but I'm saying who's got.
Albini Yildirim was a fucking champion.
Who's got better resume?
What the fuck your name is? Get the fuck out of here.
Wow.
Arturo, do you agree with Jimmy that Canelo is still pound for pound best?
No, he's not. I think he's somewhere in the 3 range.
No, I don't.
I believe he's pound for pound, but I don't think he's number 1. I think he's probably number 3 now with that loss to Bivol. I'd probably put him down at like 3 or 4.
So that means Terence Crawford is in the top of the list.
Yeah, he's up there. I'd have to kind of look at it. I haven't really deep thought into who's number 1. In a way, is up there as well. I believe he's in the top of that list. I know that when I jumped in, I heard that a lot of people didn't like Usyk, but I think Usyk is up there. What he did to Joshua and the skills that he showed there, he's up there as well. Because he's not a heavyweight, he's not a true heavyweight either, and he went
He
and
is a
displayed
heavyweight. He
something
fights a
special.
heavyweight. What do you
He
mean?
fights
He
heavyweight.
fights a heavyweight. He's a heavyweight. He's not a true heavyweight. He's a heavyweight. He fights a heavyweight. He won his belt at heavyweight. You're welcome. Like, I don't know what you're talking about, son. I'm going to have to sign y'all tonight because y'all acting like some kids. I'm going to have to sign y'all.
He moved up from
The hell?
cruiserweight.
Well, that's my
All right,
opinion.
this is the pound for pound list according to Ring TV, right? And it's probably not updated. To be fair, it's probably not updated because Canelo just fought, but they have Canelo number 1, Usyk number 2, Bud number 3, NQ number 4, Spence at 5, Estrada at 6, Lomachenko at 7, and Josh Taylor at 8. Now, Josh Taylor takes an L, and he goes from like 2 to 8.
Wow.
Which is crazy, right? And I still don't understand what Usyk is doing there. I don't understand what he is doing there.
He's a heavyweight. That's why.
You
Why he's on the list?
He should not be on the fucking list. That's
No,
why they
Alex,
literally created the fucking pound for pound list. It was created so they wouldn't have to compete with the likes of heavyweights. Literally, if y'all look up the reason why pound for pound list was created, y'all will see that for yourselves. It's not rocket science. I promise you, it's not. It is not
But
rocket
what's more
science.
impressive than moving up 7 pounds or fighting a guy that's 20 pounds heavier than you?
What do you mean? What's more impressive? They fight at the same weight class. What are you talking about, son?
No, we're
What are you
pound
talking
for
about?
pound, right?
Heavyweight.
fight
You don't
a guy-
know if you're
No heavyweight not supposed to be part of the pound for pound.
That's why they created the pound for pound list. Literally, won't you Google it, Jimmy? Google it, and it will tell you that's why they created it, so they wouldn't have to compete with heavyweights.
It's kind of like
right.
saying that a Dogo Argentino is a pound for pound like strongest dog, best fighting dog, when it's easily 25 to 30 pounds heavier than a pit bull. Of course, pit bulls are pound for pound the greatest fighting dogs, right? It's like you wouldn't put a Great Dane in the fucking conversation for pound for pound.
If a cruiserweight moves
That's
up,
what pound for pound means.
So if a cruiserweight moves up. But isn't that greatness though, pound for pound? If a cruiserweight dominates a super heavyweight, that's what Joshua is, right?
And I'm sorry,
He's
a
a
drug
big man
cheat should never be
heavyweight,
on a
and for a
pound for pound
cruiserweight-
nothing. A drug cheat who lost 3 fights, literally lost 3 fights. And some people even say he lost a Trout. I don't think he lost a Trout, but some people even think he lost a fucking Trout. A drug cheat, anybody who's ever had to do PEDs to win a motherfucking fight should never be on nobody's pound for pound anything. A pound for pound duck, a pound for pound cherry
Divine.
picker, a pound for pound drug cheat? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. But a drug cheat should never be on nobody's pound for pound list. You never
What's
kept
up,
his ass
Arturo?
in mind.
Who do you got number
Arturo.
1 for you? I probably Bud. When I was just thinking it over, I'll probably put Bud as number 1. But who's your number 1?
Bud is definitely number 1. Bud is definitely number 1. Definitely.
I
Who
think you
Lomachenko
gotta.
should not be on the fucking pound for pound list neither.
Who?
I think it's got to be Bud as well. I mean, 38-0, 29 KOs. Multiple weight class. Champion. He's at 147 now, and he's got Earl Spence on the horizon. I mean, it's just a situation where if he beats Earl Spence, I mean, it's undeniable for sure. Undeniable. Not even a debate, right? But even right now, I still got to put him at number 1 because, well, even though Canelo has won multiple weight classes, and I'm not judging the fact that he just recently lost against Bivol. I mean, that is what it is. I disagree on the path. I think he should have taken care of 168. But I have to look at his resume, right? Like, how good is the resume? And it's not saying that Bud has fought extravagant, mind-blowing names either. Both Bud and Canelo were in weak divisions in the time that they were in their divisions.
Well,
But But that wasn't Bud's fault though. Like at least with Bud, it wasn't because he was cherry picking though. He fought. I mean, he fought who he could fight. It wasn't his fault though. He
To be
wasn't
honest,
cherry picking. He wasn't skipping over people like, oh, I won't fight you, but I'll fight you. That wasn't what he was doing. Unlike Cinnamon. Cinnamon had a chance to fight fucking Benavidez, and Benavidez had the WBC belt. Oh, then all of a sudden he didn't want to chase the undisputed at 168. But then once Benavidez lost that shit on fucking scale, then all of a sudden he wants to go after the undisputed at 168. Yo, that is cherry picking at his fucking finest. It's not the same thing with Bud. Bud fought who he had to. Bud fought who he could. It was not his fault that at the time 140 was weak. That had nothing to do with him. And he damn sure wasn't skipping over people like, well, I won't fight you. He fought anybody they told him he couldn't beat. They say he couldn't beat Felix Diaz. When Felix Diaz was terrorizing motherfuckers at 147 at one point, don't act like he wasn't, y'all. Don't act like Felix Diaz was not terrorizing motherfuckers. And he was a gold medalist as well. He went there and plowed the fuck out of him. When Delorme was on his rise, he was the first one to take Delorme off his fucking crown.
I guess
Devon.
what you could. Yeah, go ahead.
Where do you got Shakur Stevenson now? Is he in the top 10 now for you?
Yeah, I think so. I think you got to put him in the top 10. And like I said, Ring they definitely haven't updated their list. Obviously Canelo took a loss. And I mean, well, Usyk shouldn't be on there, period, in my opinion.
Thank you.
But yeah, and they have Earl at 5.
You can go ahead and put Bivol on there.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Stevenson should be, right? I mean, Stevenson has fought 2 big names back to back and won in convincing fashion. Right, exactly. Like Herring is a big name. Valdez, which was supposed to be the most dangerous puncher in the division, undefeated.
Yeah.
Just smashed him. Right? So I think he cracks the top 10. And the thing about Stevenson is he has the ability to and the frame to move up weight classes, no problem. Like Stevenson can easily go to 140 and possibly even 147 in the next, 5 to 7 years.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And he's still young.
Yes.
Devon,
He's still young.
Question.
He's got massive upside, but I think he cracks the top 10 just based off of his last 2 performances. And with that being said, don't forget, people, that we have Devin Haney and Kambosos coming up.
I was just going to ask you about that. If he goes over there and beats the fuck out of Kambosos, where are you going to put him at, Devon, on your list?
Well, he becomes undisputed, right? If he beats Kambosos. So he cracks the top 10 too. Anytime you become undisputed in any weight class, right, then you got to crack the top 10 to pound for pound, in my opinion.
So let me ask you a question. If he most likely, let's say he gonna win, all right? Will he be in the top 5 or just top 10?
That's a good question. That's a very good question. You're talking about Devin Haney. That's a very good question. I would say top 7 for sure. Devin Haney, if he beats Kambosos and becomes undisputed, you got to be top 7. Because he's better. He's better than Roman Gonzalez. He's better than Kazuto Ioka. He's better than. I mean, look, the fact that Lomachenko is on that list and not Devin Haney or Kambosos for that matter, because Kambosos got most of the belts right now. Right.
So what the hell is Lomachenko doing up there?
That's the big question. Yeah, I was getting ready to answer that. Why he's still up there? He don't have no belts.
Because with Canelo, yeah, he took a loss, but it's not like he lost in 168 and lost all the belts.
Right.
Because if Canelo loses to Benavidez or Andre or one of those guys, then Canelo you got to drop. You lost the belts. You're no longer undisputed champion.
Right.
That's the way it works. But Canelo lost to a 175 pounder, and his belts in 168 were not affected, which means that he's still technically undisputed at 168.
Did he drop out of your top 10?
Who, Canelo?
Yes.
No, Canelo's still top 5.
Canelo was never top nothing for me.
Even if I don't agree with his path, and I think that he left a lot of fighters there, I'm going off of, just looking at it on paper, basically, right?
Freedom, he has
And
2 losses. What the fuck are you talking about? Loma has 2 losses, dumbass. Get your dumbass. You a casual. The fuck is he talking? He has 2, honey. His very second fight he ever lost. He lost to a damn journeyman that was actually an Uber driver at the time. You're welcome.
You still got
John Collins is saying that Kambosos will beat Haney. Well, let me say this, right? And I still got to do a prediction video about that fight. But, if Kambosos wins fair and square, and I mean that wholeheartedly, if he wins fair and square, I will give him his flowers. And I will say, congratulations, you're undisputed, and you can now be put into the pound-for-pound list. And Lemo Chinko should be removed.
Quick.
All due respect to what you're doing in the Ukraine, all that shit, that's a different conversation to what we're talking about, which is boxing. You're not active. You lost your belts. And it is what it is. So, yes, John, if Kambosos wins fair and square, then I will give him his flowers 110%.
I agree with you, so that Divine. I will, because you can't argue if he wins fair and square.
Yeah.
Right. So then the question is, well, what do you mean divine, fair, and square? Well, it's actually not rocket science. Where are they fighting?
Australia.
They're fighting in Australia. Right? And although I would typically agree that if a champion that is not American wins the belts and they want the fight in their country, it's hard to argue that, right? It's almost like if an American fighter goes to the UK and takes a belt off a UK fighter, the American fighter says, if you want a rematch, you got to fight me in America now because I'm the champ. I'm okay with that. But the problem is this. The fact that Kambosos wasn't ready to really sign a fight with Devin, he was almost begging for the Lomachenko fight. He was praying for it. That's the fight that he actually wanted. He was not wanting to deal with Haney until he had no choice. And because of that, it makes me suspicious of what is going to happen in Sydney, especially if it goes to 12-round decision.
Devon, I don't think I can say I understand where you're coming from, but Devin Haney and his daddy, they didn't become millionaires. And Devin Haney become the youngest millionaire, in boxing right now by being idiots. They're not going to go over there and have a whole bunch of damn Australian judges and shit. I really do. I really hope and believe that they're going to go over there. You know what I'm saying? Like they're thinking with their big boy hats on. I just don't see them going over there being dummies. I mean, at least that's what, And if I was Devin Haney, because that bullshit ass contract he had to sign just to get that fucking fight, I would get them damn belts and drop them shits and move right up to 140.
Well,
I would get that bitch a fucking rematch over there.
Destiny, guess what Devin Haney needs to do? He needs to do what Bivol just did to Canelo.
Yep.
He's gotta win convincingly.
I prefer, I think support Stevenson did to Oscar Valdez. I think what he did to Oscar Valdez was better.
That's another great example.
Yeah.
Exactly. It cannot be a drag out fight where it's going back and forth. And even though we may think Devin Haney edged it out, he ain't gonna get that in Australia. I guarantee you that. I guarantee you that.
But if I was Devin Haney, though, if he once he wins these belts, because I don't think it's gonna be no if. Once he wins these belts, I would drop them holes and move right up to 140. I would not give that bitch no rematch over there in his country. After he promised that man these, the fight in the first place. Yeah, I would play his ass right to the left too.
Well,
okay, bitch.
Well, this is a fight where if it does, I mean, if it's, I don't see a knockout on this fight. Let me put it that way. I don't see a knockout. I see either a Devin Haney domination because he just has the skill set to do it, or it's a tough fight and Kambosos gets the nod. But I will say this: if Devin Haney wins, Devin Haney, he ain't ever got to step back in Australia ever again. You take the belts and run your ass back to America and stay there.
Well,
Cambosa has been to America before, so you got a lot of money now. You got enough money to get a private jet now. Before you were complaining about eating ramen noodles and shit, going to America to fight because you had no damn money. Well, that's not an issue anymore. Dirk Banks, what's up, man? You're new to the panel. What's good?
What's up?
Yeah, what do you got? What's your thoughts?
Just some quick thoughts on Canelo, real quick.
All right.
So, people probably call me a hater, but I've never thought Canelo is like. I think he's a great fighter, but I've never seen him as like the best fighter in the world. Like, one, he never passed the eye test for me, which is, I guess, is subjective. But to me, this was his first real opponent since Triple G. I don't consider Billy Ho Saunders, Callum Smith, and Caleb Plant like some dangerous guys that he had to get past. I consider those guys paper champions, to be honest with you. So your first real test, you got absolutely dominated. So
Well,
I
so
don't know. I think
would you say that the fight against Bivol was? I mean, Triple G. I partially agree. I think styles make fights, and I think a guy like Triple G, who's going to stand in front of Canelo and bang, gives Canelo a chance to outbang him and work on the inside and work that the hip movement and get the uppercuts in and shit like that he likes to do. But I would say this is his toughest test since Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah. Oh,
that's
well.
I
meant like since Triple G. Like, I wasn't including Mayweather.
Right. So you're saying
Lara,
most recently.
I would say Lara.
Most recent. I'm not including the 54. That era. Like, but what was I going to say? So I have a theory. I think he chose the Bivol Triple G route because he knew if he took a loss with Bivol, he would have like an excuse. He was going for greatness. He went up in weight. While if he lost to a Benavidez or a Charlo, people's like, see, that's why he was ducking those guys. So there's nothing to land on. You know what I mean? There's no fallback if he were to lose to one of those guys.
Right.
I really believe that.
So Dirk, was it a cherry pick go wrong?
I don't think it was a cherry pick. Well, I heard you earlier. You said that Bivol, there wasn't like a high chance of Bivol knocking him out, and Canelo knew that. So he knows if he can make it sort of competitive for 12 rounds, he'll get the decision. Which I'm not gonna lie, I thought so too. I was like, even if Bivol boxes this guy, I don't see him getting a decision. But well,
let me put it this way. What up? Let me put it this way. SM, what's good, bro? Official member of the channel, man. Much love. Let me put it this way. I put a poll up in my live stream of the fight, the night of the fight, right? During the undercard of Montana Love and whatever dude he was fighting, right? And that poll went from the undercard or that co-main event all the way to the beginning or right when the referee said, touch him up.
Yeah.
And what the poll said was it was 40% of the poll, which was the majority, said that Canelo was going to knock out Bivol.
Yep.
Right? They thought they were going to knock him out. Only 18% said that Bivol was going to win by decision.
How can you how can you say before the fight he's going to knock him out? He can easily go up to 200 pounds and beat Usyk. And then after he loses his fight, he was too big. At least he was going for greatness. Like, it doesn't work that way. You can't like pretend this dude is God, and then when he loses, try to get sympathy from everybody else. Like, you're gonna get the smoke.
Yeah, for sure. And check it out. Like, I told everybody before the fight started, I said this fight's going 12. I guarantee you that. And everybody in the comments, oh no, Canelo's gonna knock him out, And I got one word in response to that on what Canelo fans were thinking. Well, the Canelo fans who thought, and I don't know how Arturo had it going up into the fight. I don't know if Arturo thought that Canelo was gonna knock him out, But from what I saw in my chat, I got one word. People thought that this was Kovalev. They have Kovalev stuck in their mind on what he did to Kovalev. But they forgot that Kovalev is 37 or was 37, 38 years old and who has been in a hell of a lot of wars, who's taken a lot of damage.
Coming off and almost getting knocked out by Yardy.
Don't forget he only had like a 4 to 6 week turnaround too before he had to fight him. And he had a rehydration clause in his fight too.
Right, exactly. Wasn't no recovery either.
He was winning the fight before he got knocked out, in my opinion.
Yeah, he was definitely beating little buddy ass.
Come on, man. So, this is what happens when you try to make people into
gods.
Thanos. And he's never even looked close to a Thanos. I don't even know where, but it is what it is.
Thanos. Hey, all right. Let me change the question then, because we talked about cherry picking, and I think that in the chat at least it's pretty split. Some people say yes, some people say no. So we'll change the question. Was Canelo exposed? Which is actually the title of the live stream.
I guess it depends. It depends who you ask.
Was he exposed on a stylistic point of view?
No.
Was he exposed in regards to what people thought he was?
He's always had those shortcomings. Bivol just had the ability to, take care of business. Caleb Plant didn't have enough power, so Canelo could just walk through him. Billy Joe Saunders was there for a paycheck, and Callum Smith, no disrespect, is a UK level, domestic level fighter.
I would say Bivol did expose him because I always say this, that Canelo can never fight on his back foot, and that was the key. None of them never press him to go and force him backwards, and that's what Bivol did. Now, if Bivol would have had power, it would have been different. So, brother, what you were saying. At first I was going to say I think Canelo could do it, but I was really assessing it with I was thinking, I said if Bivol could just push him back, he have a chance for decision, but he got to do it convincingly. And then during the fight though, Bivol got stronger and stronger.
Why did you name all black fighters? Why did you name all black fighters, Frito? Where you coming from, son? Tell us what's up. Bring your ass on this panel. Bring your ass on this panel to come discuss that. Why don't you name all the black fighters that he fought? Don't expose your colors, honey.
Well, here's the thing. Well, Frito, the link is in the chat. Don't be scared.
David Benavidez with his volume.
Destiny might bite, but most of us won't bite.
I think Benavidez with his volume will be a nightmare for Canelo. David does not get tired.
Well, I'll tell you this, and I know I get a lot of people shrug their shoulders and think that it's not a big fight or a challenging fight for David Benavidez, but I think David Lemieux is going to test David Benavidez.
I agree. I agree. That's fine. Honestly,
in my opinion. And I think that a lot of people, they get this thing stuck in their head about David Lemieux, coming up short in big fights and whatnot. But David Lemieux has only been stopped twice in his career. He was stopped when he was young, when he was fighting for a title contention against Marco Antonio Rubio, who he was dominating in that fight and gassed out and got caught. Then he got stopped by Triple G. That's it.
Yeah.
He's had a couple other losses, and I think I could draw, but he's got a hell of a chin. He's tough, and he can punch really, really hard. So David is going to be tested at some point in the fight. Now, I still think David will probably edge it out just based off of engine and durability and his length. But he's going to get hit, and we're going to see. And if he passes that test, then that's going to give me confidence to say David beats Canelo. Because one thing that I've started to notice about Canelo is if he throws his best punch at you and you can take it, he starts to slowly wither away.
Who was that David Benavidez fought? He was from Romania or some shit. I can't think of little buddy name. And he's the first one ever put David Benavidez on the canvas. He lost that first fight.
Gavril?
What's his name?
Graville.
Yeah,
Gavril.
that dude. He
Graville.
lost that first fight to him. David Benavidez lost that first fight to him, in my opinion, in my humble opinion. And that's why he fought his
Well,
ass again.
Dave was like 19 at that time, something like that, 20.
Yeah, I mean, he was young, but still, he still lost that fucking fight. I mean, I don't give a damn. He was 5. He still lost. A loss is a loss.
Yeah.
But that's why he
Damn.
fought his ass
David
I
again.
thought he won,
I
but
to be honest.
You did? You thought he won?
So I
I
yeah,
didn't
I
think
really
so.
did.
I
I
didn't think
really
so.
thought he won that fight.
Did y'all,
And
what
he
do you think,
definitely
Divine?
I
Do you think he
did.
won?
What's the question?
Do you think he won that fight? What's the boy name again? Is the boy name Craval, whatever his name was?
Gavril. You
That
said it right.
dude.
Graville and who?
The split
And
decision.
David Benavidez, the very first fight between them, not the second one. The second one that was definitely David Benavidez all day.
Oh, and Benavidez.
Yeah, I think he lost that first fight. He put that nigga on the canvas. He was out boxing the fuck out of David Benavidez. David Benavidez couldn't do shit with little buddy.
Yeah, he definitely had his struggles. But I know you don't like to hear this, Destiny, but he was young.
Oh
he was
God, here you go.
he was very young, man. And but it's the same thing about David Lemieux. When he fought Marco Antonio Rubio, he fought a guy whom Rubio was a veteran.
Yeah.
And David was smashing the shit out of him, and Marco took it and took
An
it and
L
took
is an
it and
L.
took it.
And I think Lemieux, I think that is Lemieux. I think what I'm thinking about the fight right now, right this minute, because we know at times Lemieux like to go to the body, and the Benavidez, he got to take that. If he, I mean, he has to take it and move around. Because if he don't take it, this gonna be a long night.
Hey,
Yeah.
you've seen Canelo's output start to slow down as he's moved up in weight. That's if you, like you said, if David can take his punch, that's gonna be a long night for Canelo.
Y'all gonna be
And
the toughest opponent at
I don't think
168.
he can, though.
He's gonna have to move to 175 though. David Morrell is coming for y'all. David Morrell is coming for him.
Him
That
too.
that little light skinned nigga is coming for him. Yeah, he's gonna be a problem. He's gonna be a whole problem at 168, 175. Once he gets some fights up with his weight, he gonna pay him back when he bigger. He coming. And David Benavidez already said it. He's gonna be a whole problem. And I
Yeah.
hope
I think with
Cinnamon
David-
is still fucking active so he can knock his damn block off.
Oh shit.
I mean, if Bivol had more power, I think he stops Canelo.
Yes, I agree with that.
He respected Canelo too much. He could have really went after if he wanted to, but he looked like he was hesitant.
He just started to around 11, 12, where he
12.
realized that I'm not worried about getting caught with something because he felt Canelo's power was dropping.
Yeah.
I think early in the fight, I think that Canelo, even at 175, still punches hard enough to get respect. I don't think it's not. Yes, he didn't hurt Bivol, but it was hard enough to Bivol to be careful, right? But as the fight wore on, that power depleted, and then Bivol was like, "Oh, now I can throw these 4 or 5 punch combinations." And if Canelo didn't have the shoulder roll and the bob and weave and it's escaping some of those combinations, he would have got knocked out. But Bivol also, I keep saying this, Bivol is not the strongest puncher at 175.
No,
And you can argue that he's not even the top 3 or top 4.
Divine, remember you was on the show, man. T was telling everybody Bivol was gonna beat Canelo, and we also said, better Beef have slow feet, but we felt like he would actually stop Canelo. And everybody looked at me, you and T like we lost our fucking mind. They was looking at us like we was drinking, Clorox bleach or some shit. But better Beef would have stopped Cinnamon. He definitely would have stopped Cinnamon. Yeah, he got
I
very
think so
slow
too.
feet,
And
and he older.
I think Canelo knew that. I think he knew that, and I think that he literally, as I said before, when Arturo was on here before he left, this is why I call it a cherry pick, in my opinion, is that Canelo took the less risky of a fight at 175, who was Bivol. It was the least dangerous fight because even if it goes 12, he has a chance to get the nod. Like, let's keep it real.
But style-wise, a guy that better be that's flat-footed, that's 37 years old, that comes forward. For a counter-puncher like Canelo, that's a lot easier to deal with. a fast moving, sort of high volume, sharp.
There's a problem with that theory. There's a
Yeah.
problem with that theory because people just think that all you need to do to beat Canelo is just outbox him. There's more than one way to skin a cat, especially if you're the bigger, stronger guy. You know, Biv doesn't need to dance around the ring to beat Canelo. He can just walk him. Yeah, like
Same thing with Joe Smith. Joe Smith, all he's got to do is put his hands up, catch and shoot, catch and shoot, catch and shoot.
Yeah.
That's it. And Joe's strong. Joe is strong enough and gritty enough to be able to do that. And you know, but you know what, guys? I think Canelo, man, I think what he's going to try to do, because I think his ego and his pride has been hurt. I think deep down he knows he got his ass beat. He doesn't want to admit it. But I think he's going to try to encourage or somehow either find a catch weight or get Bivol to come down to 168.
Well, Bivol already said he'd come down to 168. Bivol said
I don't think he should go to 168.
Oh, I don't think he should, but I'm saying that's what Canelo was going to try to lure him.
Yeah.
Divine. No, mate, it's in the rematch clause. So in the rematch clause, if Canelo lost, Bivol would have to rematch him at 168 for the undisputed titles.
That's bullshit. That's some BS, man.
That's some Canelo Alvarez A side for your ass.
Yeah, exactly. That's still, man. You know come on. You fight 175 and then all of a sudden you lose. I can't beat you at 175, but you come down to 168. And this is the thing that shows the Bivol team. Why you let this to happen anyway? Why you letting that happen? Why you letting it keep on picking? Why Canelo gotta keep on picking?
I mean, to be fair to Bivol, I mean, he's a guy on the zone that really doesn't have many options. He's a guy that not a lot of people want to fight because obviously his style and he's not a big star. And he's on the zone that don't have a deep stable of fighters. So, I mean, you know, when a big star gives you, you know, a chance to fight, you pretty much agree to whatever. So in the rematch, it's at 168.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying.
Look, to be fair to Bivol, I'm telling you, if Bivol beats Canelo at 168 and takes all of Canelo's belts at 168, that's really going to look bad on Canelo.
I don't see. Really I'm just saying like this. In 168, Canelo got everything. He got the judges. He got everything around 168. I don't trust it. I mean, Pinter and Bivol fight him the same way. He's not going to get the same result. I don't like it. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's just kind of a thorn in my side, I guess, because it's like you, instead of going back down to 168 and fighting a plentiful amount of fighters that are available to you that are actual real 168 pounders, you're going to waste your time to renegotiating the rematch clause and moving Bivol down to 168. And it just irritates me.
Right.
And even yeah, and you know, it is risky. It is risky for Canelo to lose all of his belts against a guy who soundly beat him. But even Canelo knows himself that he's way better at 168. He's going to carry the weight better. He's more comfortable at that weight. There's going to be he can make a few more adjustments, aka not try to blast out Bivol early, try to pace the fight. And you know, it's like if you're Bivol, you're playing with fire. You just got judges to score your fight 115 to 113, bro.
Right, exactly.
What you go down to 168 and it's a 12-round fight again? Do you really think the judges are gonna give you the nod again?
That's not gonna happen, bro.
And if you can't knock him out at 175, you sure as hell ain't gonna knock him out at 168.
He ain't. That's what I'm saying. He's not. Come on, man.
It's pretty much, and Canelo is not stupid. He knows that if I go down to 168, I may not be able to stop him, but at 168, I'm more comfortable, and I know he can't stop me. I know he can't knock me out. So all I got to do is do a little bit better, just a little bit better than what I did before, and the judges will give me the score because the judges gave me 115, 113 last time, and that means they gave him 5 rounds.
5 rounds, yeah.
They gave Canelo 5 rounds, and he got dominated.
So to ask, so go
Y'all
more
need
your,
to wake up, man.
yeah, go more your point, brother. To find is this that the only way I see Bivol going to win, he has to knock him out, but he don't have the power, and that's going to play right into the fact of them judges. I'm with you. I'm not saying the same. I'm with you. I don't like it. No, I think they'll take the win and run. Cause you know Canelo up to something, and he got everything in 168.
Cinnamon's not going to rematch Bivol. Like he would rematch. He didn't want to rematch Mayweather. He didn't want to rematch Lara. He didn't even want to rematch Triple G.
That's a good point.
They forced him to rematch Triple G. He didn't want to rematch Triple G at all.
Wait,
Cinnamon's not going to rematch
hold on.
Bivol.
Does Canelo have only rematch he has is Triple G?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's
The
crazy.
fans there.
That's crazy.
Literally.
The pound for
I think
pound best fighter in the world
he
only
said a
has
rematch
one
would be the
rematch on his entire career,
His
entire
whole
resume.
All career, yo.
That's wild.
He don't want that. He don't want that smoke again. Honestly, he knew he was. And I don't care what nobody's in the chat talking about. Cinnamon has never made adjustments. Cinnamon is still the exact same fighter we saw when he fought fucking goddamn Mayweather. Cinnamon is always gonna be that same fucking fighter. Cinnamon has never made an adjustment a day in his damn Cinnamon life.
And check it out, yo.
No, I
All
think
these years, he got over that.
very different.
Only one rematch. He got over all these years.
Hmm.
Yeah. That's wild, right? Because for people that are saying, well, he didn't need to rematch anyone. Really? He shouldn't have rematched Laura?
Right?
Really?
Yep.
He should, you know what I mean? Like that's at least one right there. Like that one is undeniable. Like you should have rematched Laura. Everybody knows it. You know it, and you ran for the hills. You said, I ain't trying to deal with this slick southpaw. Get the fuck up out of here. I ain't trying to deal with him again.
Yeah.
Like that is crazy when you think about a guy who's been considered the pound for pound best, has only had one rematch on his entire resume. Now, I agree that if you get your ass beat, then don't rematch, right? Or if you beat someone else's ass, then there's no rematch. But when you got a close fight, and Canelo's been in close fights before, a rematch with Austin Trout, I would have watched that too. I think that's a fair rematch. I would almost say Cotto, but I think Cotto, when he fought Canelo, he's pretty much done.
I think he was open
And
to that
Canelo
rematch.
did hit him with some big shots in that fight. And I don't want to see Cotto. Ever since Cotto got smashed up by bricks in the gloves by Margarito,
yeah, he wasn't the same.
I always just don't want to see him get punched in the face anymore. And Triple G, well, not Triple G, but Canelo did hit him with some big hard shots in that fight against Cotto. But for sure, Laura, for sure, Trout, I would have watched it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Even the Danny Jacobs fight was very competitive up until the end.
Honestly, Devon had Kirkland had Ann Wolf as his trainer. I think he probably would have beat Canelo. Every time Kirkland had Ann Wolf as his trainer, he beat people. Every time he took Ann Wolf as his trainer off, he lost. Now, he had Ann Wolf as his trainer when he fought Canelo because he was doing pretty good for them first. Like, what? How many rounds they went? 4? About 4 of them rounds.
3.
3. Okay, it was about 3 of them rounds. He was doing okay. He could. Honestly, I think if he would have had Ann Wolf, what do y'all think? If he would have had Ann Wolf as his trainer, how do you think that fight would have played out?
Maybe.
I just think you don't like Canelo because, according to you, I mean,
I don't like cinnamon. I never did, and I never will like cinnamon sugar. I cannot stand the cinnamon sugar. No, you're right.
I think it's pretty clear she doesn't like him, so there's no point to reiterate it.
Look, the Bivol fight, to be fair, Divine, I think because of the media firestorm, the upset, I mean, I think even economically, I mean, there's not really a bigger fight out there, right? Canelo was the pound for pound king by most people's standards, the biggest superstar. He got upset, he lost. There's a massive media firestorm right now. I mean, I just don't see what fight is bigger than the rematch, right? You've got the backstory of the redemption, stuff like that. I can't see a bigger money fight out there. And I think also just probably from a pride perspective, he probably wants to get one back.
Well, sure. But so, are you saying that you're okay with a 168 fight between him and Bivol?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay.
I think it should be
Well,
a
I don't think
again.
Canelo's going to go back up to 175. Or sorry, Canelo. I don't
No,
think
it's
he's
not.
going to go back up to 175.
Yeah, because I heard in the actual contract before the fight, it was signed that Bivol agreed that if he won the fight, the rematch would have to take place at 168 for Canelo's titles.
Mohad, what's good, man? What do you got to say?
Hello, man.
What's up? What's on your mind?
Hey, or first of all, I want to give you all the G's and respect because I've been watching you for a very long while now. And
Thank you.
of course, respect to everyone in the chat, everyone in the stream, and the everywhere. Well, I'm just yeah, I've been like watching you since Fury Wilder 3 fight. I saw most
Okay.
of your predictions, most of your you're all mostly right, and yeah, I'm a real fan here. But I just wanted to like respond to your question because I was really excited about that Bivol and Canelo fight. I told my brother, he was like, I told him I really want to watch Bivol against Canelo, and next day I swear to God, we woke up. He sent me my brother told me, "Yo, the fight is announced. Bivol is going against him," and I was like, "Wow, okay, here's the fight that I wanted." And I told my brother, Bivol is gonna beat him, and it's not gonna be close. Uh, but of course, we had to wait and look at what happened. And yes, to answer your question, I believe that Canelo did actually get exposed because when somebody stood up to him, just like Caleb, it wasn't an easy fight for him. But the judges, man, yeah.
Yeah, it's like no going to a fight. He's already up 6 rounds on the judges' scorecard automatically. You really have to like work Canelo to get a win over him. Even Floyd Mayweather, when he beat that nigga ass pillow to post, somebody found it a way to have it a draw. CJ Ross. That's why they retired her ass.
Yeah, I
But yeah,
mean,
man.
that's a good point, though, Mohad, is that when people do stand up to Canelo, because you see a lot of times in fights where, you can look at the Caleb Smith fight, the Liam Smith fight, the Rocky Fielding fight, the Caleb Smith, the Yildirim, all these guys, right? They covered up, right? They're timid, they're reluctant to exchange. And when you get a guy who's willing to fight fire with fire, then it becomes a different fight. You know what I mean? Triple G, obviously, they had 2 great fights. The first fight was controversial. Laura wasn't afraid. Laura was trying to box and do his thing. And like you said, Caleb Plant early in the fight was doing his thing. And these guys who actually stood up to him and stood up to the task, it either Canelo lost or it was a very entertaining fight or it was controversy. Exactly.
Yeah.
So in that way, you can say, yeah, he is a bit exposed. And that's the word exposed, right? It means finding out that he's not who we thought he was.
Invincible.
That's what exposed means, right? It's like when Manny Pacquiao got put face down against Marquez. The Pacquiao fans had to swallow that.
Yeah.
He wasn't what he thought. If he loses to Floyd, they're going to say Floyd was running. Floyd is a runner, right? Or if he loses a close decision against someone, right? But when he got put to sleep like that, there's just no way to argue that. You are humbled. Pacquiao fans, aka Pactards at the time, we called them. They disappeared for like 6 months until Pacquiao recovered and came back. So this is that, and in my opinion, Pacquiao was exposed. Now he redeemed himself. He got some more wins under his belt, right? And he redeemed himself a bit. But like, let's be real though. Like, sometimes fighters get humbled, sometimes they get exposed. It doesn't mean that when you get exposed, your career is over. It just means that you got exposed. And what the fuck are you going to do about it? Now, he's faced with a very difficult choice. Everybody, including Canelo himself, had pictured in their head Cinco de Mayo, Canelo wins, tequila, Corona, burritos,
Exactly.
piñatas, enchiladas. And that shit came crumbling down because of one man from Russia who didn't give a fuck about Cinco de Mayo.
And he told him, sorry to destroy your plans.
Yes.
Devon,
Yes.
you said a whole mouthful with that one. Pacquiao got knocked the fuck out when they was making no memes. Manny, are you okay? Are you okay, Manny? Pacquiao blaming on him like he was a smooth criminal. That shit will forever be the funniest shit ever.
Yeah. But that's the beautiful thing about boxing, because years before that, Pacquiao put Hatton to sleep.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And everybody was saying, oh, my God, Pacquiao this, Pacquiao that, da-da-da-da-da. And boxing has a way to humble your ass real quick. And that's why I always had
Mayweather already tapped that ass. Like, he used to always go fight. Every time Mayweather fought somebody, his hungry ass come. I'm going to go fight the same person.
Yeah, and that's why I've
Mayweather.
always had respect for Mayweather, because he controlled the game. He didn't let the game control him.
Okay.
And he never said to himself, you know what, this fight, I'm gonna try to knock the guy out.
Control the game. He didn't let the game control.
Right? He just did what he had to do. He stuck to a game plan every single fight that he had. He was himself, and he implemented a game plan and came out victorious. In this game, boxers have a tendency to have their ego inflated. Their pride is beyond their control, and it's happened to some of the best fighters. Mike Tyson got knocked out against Buster Douglas.
Why you got to bring that up, though, Divine? Why you got to go bring up old shit?
Well, I'm sorry, but you know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. It happens so many times throughout boxing history, right? So
Ali
Canelo,
and Frazier as well.
See, here's another interesting point, right? When Canelo lost to Floyd, it should have been a humbling experience, and maybe it was in some ways, because we saw Canelo's evolution in his style after he fought Floyd, right? He started doing the pull counter. He started doing certain things after the Floyd fight that he never done before. But the media and the people around him said, it's okay. He's more experienced. You're young. You know, it was at this weight or that weight. It was a catch weight, blah, 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 blah. They made all these excuses. And so Canelo didn't really absorb the effect that it should have had. He wasn't really humbled like he should have been. And then now with Bivol, the Bivol thing, though, now they're saying, oh, well, he lost, but it was at 175. So it doesn't matter. So the excuses are already starting to come out, right? This is why it is imperative for him to face tough challenges at 168. And if he gets knocked out, it will be a situation where Manny Pacquiao got laid face down, and there will be no more excuses, because you got stopped or beat up in your weight class and you lost all your belts.
But you know what? That's never going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
The only way to humble him is to knock him out. Like, if you lose by point, there's always like excuses there. He has to get knocked out, just like Manny Pacquiao.
Even if they knock him out, it's still gonna be an excuse. It's gonna be his hair was not done right that day, or he ate too much cat food or some bullshit. It's always gonna be an excuse for him. Don't worry about it.
But that's why I have respect for Pacquiao, because Pacquiao took that risk. Every single fight that he had with Marquez, it went down to the wire. Right? And every single time he went in there, and you can tell in that last fight, he was trying so hard to knock out Marquez. Because Pacquiao's like, I can't do this like split decision, close fight bullshit anymore. I'm going to try to knock him out. And he paid the price. He took that risk, right? But with Canelo, he gets in tough fights. Then, he's figuring out ways to manipulate the situation, like Bivol moving down to 168. and shit like that, or not rematching Erislandy Lara, whatever the case may be. And that's why I can't be a big fan of Canelo. Now, I can watch Canelo and be entertained because he does have some skill set. He does entertain me. But to be a fan of his, it's tough because it's like it's hard for me to wrap my head around his movement in his career when you have all these guys at 168. Now you have an opportunity to go back down into 168, and you got a tough decision if you're Canelo. You're still regarded as one of the best fighters, if not the best, by still a lot of people, even though you lost. You're still the A side. In any fight that you take at 168, you're going to be A side. So it is up to you to make this big decision. Now, Canelo fans, this is the thing about Canelo. Canelo fans are going to love you regardless of whatever you do, Canelo. Whatever you do, you can do no wrong. If you want to go back up to 175, they'll say, yes, you're the greatest thing since Henry Armstrong. If you stay at 168, they'll say, okay, great. We love you anyways. Let's knock out Benavidez because we're tired of him talking shit. So in the eyes of Canelo fans, it doesn't matter what you do. But you need to take into consideration your critics and what history will say about you when you retire from the sport. Are you going to be known as a guy, yes, who was undisputed, who won belts here and there, but you left all of these names on the table? Right? Don't be that guy, right? And there's with no risk, there's no reward. And what I mean by the reward is not titles. It's not having your hand raised at the end of a fight. The reward is even your haters have to respect you. Even your haters have to say, damn, well, shit, he beat Benavidez. He beat Charlo. He beat Andre. He beat whoever it is that's in his way at 168 that's relevant in the weight class. Cleaned it up. Then you make your haters respect you. If you go back up to 175, bullshitting around, trying to do catch weights and whatever, you're never going to get that respect, that full respect, right? Now, in the conversation of Errol Spence, that is included in that because it's been offered. And as much as we may cringe at the idea of that fight happening in the sense of weight class, we cannot just excuse the fact that he did fight Amir Khan at 155, people. He fought Amir Khan at 155 catch weight. So what's the difference? Because you knew that Amir Khan, if you touch him on the chin, you can put him down or put him to sleep. Let's keep it a buck.
Yeah.
Earl, he got flung out of a fucking car 500 feet and walked away from it. He's another animal. He's cut from a different cloth. And you know this. You know that Earl is tough as nails. And 147 to 155 is not a problem for Earl Spence.
Yeah, but this is the question. Is he willing to fight Spence on a catch weight? Nope.
Yeah, he is. He would love to fight Spence at a catch weight. You know why? That gives him the upper hand.
He may not, but he will be criticized for eternity because he did it before and he refused to do it again. And Amir Khan ain't no damn Earl Spence. If you put Earl Spence and Amir Khan in their prime, one-on-one at 147, Spence knocks him out in 5. Fact.
For sure.
Or maybe less than that, because he got a soft chin.
No, you saying they prime? Prime for prime?
Yeah, prime Amir.
I don't know about Earl knocking him out. I don't know because Amir Khan beat the dog shit out of fucking Marcos Maidana, and he was taking all them punches Maidana was throwing at him. I don't know about a prime Amir now stopping him. I have to see that to believe it.
Earl stoppage within 6.
I'll have to see that. I'll have to see it to believe it. Y'all forget who Amir Khan
I'll put big
was
money
now.
on that. I would put gigantic money on that. I don't even bet that much.
EJ is extremely flat-footed. He's very much a one-dimensional fighter too, like Canelo. He's flat-footed as fuck. He's slow as fuck, and he does not make adjustments neither. Him and Canelo is one of the.
Maidana is not a hard puncher. He's an
McDonald's
accumulation
a hard
puncher.
puncher?
Nah. He dropped Broner because Broner had his chin up in the air and he was rushing him and bullying him to the ropes and he caught him. He's not a guy who's just gonna like hit you with one big punch and clean you out. And Errol Spence has one of the best chins in the division. Who's been hurt? Who's been hurt more in their career, Broner or Spence?
Broner, of course.
Broner had better opponents too. And Broner didn't fight at just one weight class neither. Like Earl Spencer fought his whole 25 years at one weight class. So I mean,
maybe if Broner,
EJ is a bird of a different feather. Y'all know how I feel about him. So there's nothing y'all gonna tell me is gonna change my feelings about that little fish.
That's a great point.
That little ass goldfish.
I love Broner. I mean, I supported Broner for years until he started making porno videos and putting it online. Maybe if he wasn't out there, maybe if he ain't doing no pornos, maybe if he ain't there having no orgies and shit, maybe he would have stayed champion.
Maybe if Little Goldfish wasn't out there hugging and kissing on goddamn Yellow Beasley, he might would have went somewhere too. Instead, he holding up the whole 147-pound division with his drunk driving, getting into accidents and still drinking and getting his eyes knocked off. So maybe it would be the same thing, Divine.
I don't know. Putting your dick all over the internet. That's something special right there.
Putting your lips all over a man on national TV is a little different too.
That shit was crazy. Yeah.
I was
a Bud fan for sure after that. After I watched that live, I'm like, yeah, I'm rolling with Bud.
Bud, only way I can see One Eye Willie beating Bud, it has to be a puncher's chance. Other than that, skill for skill, he has nothing on Bud when it comes down to skill for skill.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, Bud versus One Eye Willie.
Damn, you're gonna disrespect him like that?
Y'all know he
I believe Bud beats him. Yeah, I believe Bud beats him. But
well, that's gonna be that's probably gonna be my next panel. Even though the fight hasn't announced, it's still a juicy topic, and it's Spence versus Bud.
Divine, you want to get a whole bunch of emphasis on here. You probably have to shut down your panel. Motherfuckers probably gonna shoot each other through the keyboards.
Oh, it gets crazy out here. It gets crazy out here in these streets.
Yeah, just in these boxing streets. Yeah, they gonna shoot each other through the goddamn keyboards.
But that's what makes this fight so. This why it makes this fight so intriguing. Like that's what actually built the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight because of all the hatred, all of the suspense, and all of the bad blood and all that shit. Right, it built up over years, and that's why it broke pay-per-view numbers and this and that. And trust me, when this fight happens, it's gonna break numbers. It's gonna sell out arenas. It's gonna be absolutely massive.
Devon, did you see that fight with Mayweather and Pacquiao going any other way but the way it went?
Absolutely not.
Thank you. Me too. I don't understand people was mad. They was like, well, Mayweather did what Mayweather do what he was always going to do. It was supposed to be Pacquiao was one of the ones supposed to brought all the heat. Mayweather did what exactly he always does. Beat your ass.
I predicted it in 2009 or 10 that Floyd Mayweather, just outclasses him. And I went back and forth for 5 fucking years until the fight finally happened. And I was in a bar. And the funniest thing is I was actually, believe this or not, I was in Manila when the fight happened.
Oh,
and
wow.
I sat in the back of the bar, avoiding all a potential stabbing, and just sat there and just nodded my head the entire time while Mayweather put him to school. And then I went back to my hotel. I went live, and the title of the video is Floyd's one of the greatest of all time. That was the title of the video.
Hey, let me ask you this: do you believe that Crawford has more tools than Errol Spence? Because I think so.
What was the question again?
100%.
Do you believe that Crawford has more tools than Errol Spence?
Absolutely.
I believe so.
100%, yeah.
He's gonna tap dance all around fucking Spence, flat-footed, one-dimension ass. Spence cannot fight off his back foot. We saw that against Ugas. He does not know how to cut off the ring space. We saw that against Ugas. He does not have good hand speed. We saw that against Ugas. Only thing he has is a strong jab. Take away his fucking jab. What does he have? Y'all, please do tell. Please do enlighten me. I'll wait.
He's a bit better
He
than
still
that.
got yellow
But
feet.
what do you think, Divine?
That's not true.
I would say this. I don't want to, go into too much of a prelude and spoil my prediction video, but I think that Spence fans are definitely not really appreciating Bud's skills. And Bud is a tremendously talented fighter. With that being said, Bud does have flaws.
Absolutely.
Bud has flaws that can be exposed, and you guys just gonna have to wait for my prediction video.
Bud's
But
biggest flaw to me.
from what I've seen on YouTube thus far, and I spend a lot of time on BFTB, and we all know that BFTB be talking his shit, and it's predominantly Earl supporters from what I see. Right? I think that there's too much of an underappreciation of Bud's skills. Despite what you may think about who's ducking and who's dodging and who's not signing the contract, this, that, and whatever, which I don't really get into that shit because it's fucking pointless. We're talking about two men, they're two grown-ass men and what they're doing and behind the scenes fighting over some bullshit. That's like fighting over two dudes fighting over a chick who they think likes them most. Like, oh, she likes me more than you type shit. Like, really? At the end of the day, she decides who she gonna fuck. So what are y'all arguing about? And that's how I feel about it. So I don't really get into those conversations. But if I'm going to say put all that to the side, imagine the fight, how I think it's going to go down, I will leave you guys with the fact that I think that Bud is being underappreciated here as far as his skill set and his abilities. The simple fact that he can fight orthodox southpaw, hand speed, power, defense, and a lot of people his counter ability, but a lot of people think that he is not a good inside fighter, and I don't agree with that. I think he can fight on the inside or outside. It's just going to come down to this fight actually might be, and the number one grinder will probably know what I'm talking about, but this fight might be very well a marvelous Marvin Hagler and Tommy Hearns.
I
I can
totally
definitely
agree.
see that.
I thought about that too. I think it's going to be. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm just going to finish this point that I think that this fight actually might not go more than 6 or 7. And I think in the first 5 rounds, it's going to be absolutely hellacious. It's going to be reminiscent of one of the greatest first rounds in boxing history, Tommy Hearns and Marvin Hagler. And I think we're going to see a repeat of that.
And go more on your point, brother. It's going to be matter of wills.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I feel Bud's biggest issue is.
It is.
Bud has like a thing like he sees red. He does not like when he feel like you get the best of him. He does not like to lose, and that's the only. I think Bud he like when Porter say he fights emotional sometimes and he does, and that's a big problem for Bud. He does fight emotional sometimes.
I think that the two fights. I think they're gonna go to. People said it's gonna be moving around. I think it's gonna be toe to toe. I think that it's gonna be well, and I think that the ones who land the much more cleaner that's gonna be hurt. And I would say one thing, but I think it's gonna be within 7 rounds.
Now, I think that Crawford will get inside for a couple of rounds to prove a point, but then he'll start staying from the outside. That's how I see it.
Crawford is gonna beat the fuck out of EJ. And dude said I sound emotional about. How can I sound emotional about 2 grown ass men who ain't paying none of my bills? Son, you sound emotional because you mad because what I said. That Crawford is gonna beat the fuck out of One Eye Willie. He gonna knock both his eyes loose. You're welcome, emotional ass nigga.
But I would say this. I'm not a big Bud Crawford fan. I really not. But I would say this that about EJ. EJ is very excellent on fighting inside. He know how to mix it up, and I'm saying Crawford. I think Crawford defense has to be superb.
Perfect.
It has to be because if defense is not superb, I'm just saying that's something that I would not take a chance with, And so EJ, I mean Crawford has his. I mean his inside
EJ
defense
better
has
be
to be
one
superb.
superb. He the one who almost got knocked down by pillow fisted Ugas, as y'all said. So EJ better be the one who has a supreme defense.
I understand what you're saying. This is what I'm saying. I understand. I get what you're saying, but I'm to go back to Crawford too because like brother Devon said, I see something there too. Crawford defensive inside has to be on point. His
And
foot has to be on point
EJ defense
And
better
at
be
and
all
superb inside,
times.
outside, and between sides. EJ better be on his best defense. Because if we saw what we saw, when he do anything like he did against Ugas, which he looked good and terrible to me, I did not think EJ looked good at all in that damn fight against Ugas. Ugas lost that fight on his own accordance. Because I don't know what the heck happened, because he was whooping his ass for the first 5 rounds. Then after the 5th round, he went over there to his corner, came back a whole different fighter in the 6th round. That was different.
But
he
that's
That was
probably
the
a,
got hurt.
window.
He probably got hurt.
well,
Yeah,
I don't know what the problem he did, because he was whooping his ass. And he
but
went over there in
that
that 6th round. I mean, that 5th round, and came back out a whole different man. I'm like, what is his game plan? This is
yeah,
interesting.
but
No,
that's
no,
the
man,
And
you're right.
but
Listen,
that's the will though.
go
EJ
ahead,
does
Divine.
and
not make adjustments. How do you let a fighter like Ugas beat you down, walk you? It was walking you down. How? Because he don't know how to make adjustments. He cannot fight off his back foot. EJ jumps. He goes straight back. When you hit his ass, this nigga goes straight back. He doesn't even put his guard up properly. He's so flat
well,
footed. He's usually like, yo, EJ
I
gonna be in
think
for a long fucking night.
that number one Grinder will probably be able to relate on this. But for the young people in the chat or those who may not, have their boxing history in line or caught up on it, if you guys remember back to that Hearns Hagler fight,
Mm-hmm.
Hearns came out and jumped all over Hagler,
Yeah,
throwing combinations, like going crazy, like just and Hagler was getting he was getting hit. He got hit a couple times flush, and I can see Bud doing that. I can see Bud coming first round, set his feet down, and just start throwing bombs at Spence.
I don't
It's
see
gonna
it.
force.
no, listen.
I think it's gonna happen, and I think that if he can't hurt Earl quickly, Earl's gonna start stepping to him and ripping to the body.
Bud doesn't do that. Bud has never came to nobody in the first two or three rounds throwing
No, I'm
bombs.
saying
No,
Spence
I
is gonna
think you're
go to
wrong
the body.
Oh, I'm sorry.
because
I thought you said Bud was gonna be doing that to Spence. I've never seen
No,
Bud
I'm
do
saying
that.
Bud is gonna come out and throw and he's gonna try to hurt Spence early, not just go to the body. I'm saying throw whatever and combinations on his ass
let,
I don't
let me
see.
let me
I don't see
clarify.
Bud doing
put
that.
Spence on the back foot.
I don't see Bud doing that. Bud don't never come out just throwing punches and combinations. He does not do that. Bud has never done that. He's very much a calculated fighter. He takes that first 2 rounds
I think
to
I think
collect
you're gonna be
data, and he
surprised.
assesses your power too. And then
Look,
after
look. We
that,
both. Everyone
it,
believes that Spence is a better inside fighter than Porter, right? We've seen Crawford get hit by Porter when he was fighting him in the inside. This Porter fight does actually clarify a lot of things in my eyes when Crawford fought Porter because Sean Porter actually fought Crawford fought him on the inside, and as he said, Crawford did get hit from Porter, and if he's not superb with his defense, Crawford Spence is better, and Spence will hurt him. That's why, yeah, he has to be perfect on the inside, and I believe if he wants to win, he has to stay on the outside. But the Porter fight does actually clarify a lot of things.
y'all keep talking about some Bud losing to Ugas and the amateurs. Yeah, he lost, and he only lost by points. I understand what the amateurs is and what professional is, but you want to talk about somebody who took a fucking L and not took just one L but two L's and also got knocked down twice. Yeah, look at Bud when he got his ass beat by Castanos, who's about to fight Jamel, his cohort. And by Derek James. Yeah, y'all might want to look at that fucking fight. You're welcome, Blue Hunted. And you the one who sound emotional because you the one who keep worrying about the fact that I said your man is gonna be man down. Matter of fact, Bud is no scorecards. He's a real man down. That nigga ain't had a scorecard since he's been fighting for the last 5 years. You're welcome, sir. You can bring your ass on here so you can get smoked. You can get this smoke like I'm Bud and you fucking One Eye Willie. You're welcome.
Who are you talking to?
Blue Hunted, whatever fuck his name is.
Oh, Blue Hunnets. Yeah, my man. This is what I'm talking about, man. This fight, man. I love this shit. I love it.
Yeah.
That's why when I go over to BFTB and he out there shouting on the mic and going all crazy, I'd be laughing my ass off. I'd be laughing my ass off the entire time. I love this shit, man. I love it. But at the end of the day, hey, the two men got to fight. They got to get in there and handle it for boxing legacy. And, you know, all I got to say to people, you feel so strongly about one fight or the other. My recommendation is put your money where your mouth is.
Ask One Eye Willie fans.
Put your money where your mouth is.
Ask One Eye Willie fans. So why is One Eye Willie already saying the fight probably not going to happen because it's Al Heyman? Why he already got excuses coming out? Just say you don't want to fight Bud because you're scared of an L. Let's say that's going to be great.
All right, Destiny. So we know you're going for Bud, right? Which is perfectly fine. But when my prediction video comes out, right? If I pick against you and I pick Earl, are you ready? Are you ready to bet 500?
I put a G on that bitch.
You put a G on it. Okay, she got a G on it. All right.
Okay. Wow.
All right. On it, yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, that's confidence right there. I like it. I like that.
All right. Well, I really, aka Almond Joy, who loves nuts and kissing men. He got to make sure he wants to get in the ring with a real man and not Yellow Beavy.
Hey, Divine, listen. I'll be waiting for that prediction video for sure, and I gotta leave now. But y'all keep it up, all right?
Yeah. I gotta roll up out of here too, man. It's 3 hours strong, and I got shit to do. But look, you know, we hit on a lot of interesting topics tonight, and I appreciate all the topics and the conversations back and forth. And I think we've uncovered what we needed to uncover, at least for Canelo. And a lot of feelings were hurt Saturday night. A lot of enchiladas went cold.
Yeah.
And, you know, it is what it is, man. You know, like, I'm sorry that you invested so much faith in a man that really underestimated his opponent. And that's something that you shouldn't accept from a guy who's been in this game this long. But that's what happened. And you got to take that L. You got to eat it. You got to crunch it up, eat it, swallow it. You just got to take it, man. And we're not going to have any sympathy for any Canelo fans or any sympathizers, none of that shit. So you got to reheat your enchiladas in the microwave. Unfortunately, it's not going to be fresh, but it's not our problem.
Devon, look, sell your Gucci shoes. So when you give me my money, when Bud, EJ stop being a punk and actually get in the ring.
Hey, and maybe Canelo, you know, maybe he lost because he came up with the purple trunk. Sorry, the pink trunks and the pink robe, wearing all pink and shit. Like he literally thought, I'm gonna go in here, I'm gonna knock him out within 3. I'm gonna wear my pink robe to the penthouse and celebrate Cinco de Mayo, and his plans got shitted on.
Canelo doesn't beat Bivol, even in a rematch. Like, simple.
I still don't trust 168.
Yeah. So next big topic, more than likely, I plan to also drop a real quick prediction video to get it out of the way of the Charlo and Castano fight that's happening this upcoming weekend. Mm-hmm. I'll probably drop a prediction video about David Lemieux and Benavidez. And somewhere along the line, within the next week or two, we'll open up another panel to talk Bud and Spence, and that one's going to be fire. I'm going to make sure that I get a lot of big channels on the panel, and I'm going to get Bud supporters, and I'm going to get Earl supporters, and we're going to hash it out. And as a matter of fact, I'm probably going to hit up 78 as well and see what we can collaborate with the legend.
Kind of like 78. You, so Divine, he's over the Bud and Spence talk because he said niggas about to shoot each other over a fight we never see.
Yeah, but I've known 78 for like 10 plus years, man. He says that, but he also knows that it's a hot topic and it's hard to step aside.
So not talk about it, yeah. But do you remember
it's hard not to.
He said niggas gonna kill each other for a fight that probably ain't never gonna
It's
watch.
For real, man. It's for real. Like some of the shit I see in the comments, it's like, wow, what people be saying, man.
Yeah,
it's like really fighting over someone's wife. It's just crazy. The grown men out here talking about, I'm gonna where you at? I'm gonna beat your ass. Over a fight, like damn.
Over a fight that's probably we never gonna watch. Seriously, I don't think we ever gonna see this fight. I just feel like right now it's just a fantasy fight. Yeah, but they do pull up, nigga. Where I'm at, I'll tell you where I'm at. Drop your location. I'm gonna pull up just to watch.
Oh, shit.
All right, y'all. Good night. Love you.
All right. Good night. Y'all stay up, man. Stay safe out there. Stay positive,
Thank
man.
you.
Keep grinding.
All right.
All right. Number one grinder, man. Keep sending those links, bro. And yeah, if you want me to join your show, just send the StreamYard one so I can just come straight in if I have the opportunity.
Okay. Yeah, most likely I'm gonna do a I don't know about the boxing content. I probably do one of the boxing content. I probably do a panel, but I definitely with Castana and Charlo. I want to definitely want to do a panel, and I definitely want to get you on. Definitely.
Yeah, man. If I'm free, then
Okay.
I love doing this shit. I love doing it, man. So if I'm free, I'll jump on for sure. Just send me the links.
Got you. All right. Thank you.
All right, man.
Appreciate you.
All right.
No
Good night,
problem,
y'all.
man. Great to have you guys on here, and I'll catch you guys on the next
Nice
one.
meeting you.
Nice meeting you too, 100. I mean, grind.
All right.
All right. Bye,
All
y'all.
right, y'all stay up.